So we got that open and everything is ready to go. Cool. So now we just wait on the people. Did it work? Okay. It didn't show up on my end, so I don't know. My phone is being stupid. Did it work? Okay. It did. Good deal. Audio sounds good. Did you swap the chat to live? Cool. All right. And now we wait. There goes my chat. Very cool. Welcome, everybody. Happy that you guys are able to join us. Bam Bam is here and Kimberly is with us. Thank you both for being YouTube channel members. That is greatly appreciated. Mr. Meaniehead says, love the content. It's so helpful for my first tank. Well, I'm very happy that that is how you're receiving the content. That is how it was intended to be. So I'm glad to hear that it's being helpful for you guys. Hope everybody's having a good day. We're just getting started here, so things aren't quite rolling just yet. I don't even have my coffee yet, but the coffee is on. It's coming. It's going to be here in a few minutes. And so, yeah, spent part of the morning getting some prints ready to go and getting the Triton Core 7 stuff hooked up on the tank. So that's all going and dosing, automated and whatnot now. So I'll be tracking that over the next couple of weeks. Colorblind Reefer, what's going on, my friend? Glad to see you here. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. We will be answering questions. That's kind of how we do these things. It's just a Q&A for the next 3 hours, as long as my voice holds out. Sean's in the house. What's going on, man? Got your package out on Friday, Sean. So you should be receiving those frag stands probably in a day or two. So thank you so much for that order. If for anybody who doesn't know, we do Etsy 3D prints, or we do 3D prints and sell them on Etsy, reef keeping stuff. So go check that out. You can get there from the website that's in the description. It's reefrookies.com. What's going on? I was calling you Armstrong, but it's E. Armstrong, and I apologize for that. So yeah. Allison says, nice tank. Thank you very much. It's my 180-gallon saltwater display. It's 250 total volume. There's a bunch of equipment and stuff behind that wall in the room on the other side. Apache is here. Fun fact, I used to fix Apache helicopters when I was in the Army. If that thing isn't leaking hydraulic fluid, it's because it's out. And don't get on it. But you really can't do that anyway unless you're a pilot. But anyway, let's see. Joe says, any up? Uh-oh, hang on. Coffee incoming. Thank you, baby. We got the coffee. Let me go back and grab that question. Let's see. Any updates on the Nava Reef 135 light shades? Yes. Unfortunately, one of my printers is down right now. The hot end got clogged, so I've ordered some replacement parts. They're on the way, so that kind of slowed me down a little bit. I haven't been able to print anything other than orders, just keeping up with the orders right now. But yeah, those light shades are almost finished. I believe that this final test print that I'm going to do is going to be the one. I think it's going to be fitting correctly and all of that stuff, and then they'll be ready to go. So very soon on that. Arson says, thanks for all your videos. 8 months into the hobby now. My little 80-liter tank already looking to upgrade. Yeah, that happens. That happens all the time. That's how we end up with MTS, multiple tank syndrome. I am 100% going to put that on a shirt. It needs to be just like a definition, yes, you know, on a shirt. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Your tutorials and knowledge and videos have been indispensable. I love to hear it. Love to hear that. That was the goal in the beginning, was just to help as many people as possible while also creating a mindset and a community around respectful reef keeping. We don't have to be jerks to each other to learn the hobby. Oh, that coffee pot makes hot coffee. Let's see. I will say I started my cycle dry life rock. I was wondering how I can introduce some more diversity into the tank. I saw your interview about lazy reef tanks. Would buying some live help? Yes, it would. What I would recommend, if you already have the amount of rock in your tank that you're happy with, then just get live sand. There's a lot of different places to get that from if you're in the United States. If you're not, it may be a little bit harder, but Tampa Bay Saltwater Rocks, Marco Rocks, Gulf Live Rock, and Florida Pets have live sand quite often. And you'd only have to get a couple cups of that, and you'd be able to add that to your tank and dramatically increase the amount of diversity that you have in there in that way. Allison says, saltwater, really cool. Yes, it's a saltwater mixed reef tank with fishes and live corals and invertebrates like crabs and shrimps and all of that stuff in it. Yep. Kimberly had a horse named Apache. That is a great name for a horse, I would have to say. C-Peep says, not a question, but nitrobiotic surprised me being brown goo. Yeah, it is a sludge of bacteria and other things, diatomaceous things and all kinds of stuff. I'm not honestly 100% sure what's in that stuff, but it does seem to be a good product. Lee says, lots of Armstrongs around here. Yeah. What is 4D? I can't print in 4D yet. That'd be interesting. I don't think my wife would go for multiple tanks. We don't have a ton of space in the UK, but she's greenlit a 4-footer. So 4-foot tanks can be quite awesome. There's a 75, 90, 125, and I believe even a 150. So you can get a pretty sizable tank with a like a 4-foot by 2-foot footprint. So just do your research there, you know, on the sizes that are available to you, because you can get a pretty big tank with a 4-foot spread. Yeah. You know, keeping in mind that bigger tanks do mean more expense and more cost in everything that you have to do with them, but it's a good sized tank for sure. Hi from the UK. Thanks for the Pop Bloom reviews. Just finished setting mine up and your app tutorial made it very easy. Nice. Glad to hear it, Chris. Thank you so much for watching that video and giving me the feedback. It means a ton. Let's see. Single live rock from my local store just for extra critters. Yep, that's a good way to do it. You can do that. There's really nothing that we can get in the hobby that would bring the amount of diversity into a tank that stuff from the ocean can. But live rock, live sand, stuff like that, sponge media from a running tank that's really dirty, you get that, you squish it out in your tank, let all that brown stuff go in the tank. It'll clear up in a couple of hours, and that's a great way to do it too. There's always the chance that you're going to bring something in that you don't want, but it's not nearly as big of a problem as is made out to be online. My Tampa Bay Saltwater Rocks and Sand will be here Wednesday. Awesome. Awesome. So Kelly, make sure with the rocks, you put them in sort of a temporary tank for a day or two, swish them around real good in some salt water to knock off all the loose crap, and then put them in that temporary tank at night. Look at the tank with a flashlight with a red lens over it. The critters can't see the red, and so it won't make them hide. And you'll be able to see if there's anything in there that you don't want going in your main display, like pistol shrimps, mantis shrimps, gorilla crabs, that kind of stuff. Arson wants to know what adhesive did I use on the Rockscape. So I actually have a video on my channel about how I built this, although I lost the footage building it, so that's not on there. But I use thick cyanoacrylate glue from Amazon. It's not super glue gel. It's more runny than gel, but it's the thick type. And Instaset. And that was what I made the initial connection with, because you can hold a rock in place. You can put the super glue all around the junction where the rocks touch, and then you can spray it with Instaset, hold it for like 5 seconds, and it's stuck. And so that was how I attached a rock to, like, I put the big main structure in first and siliconed it to the bottom glass with a copious amount of aquarium sealant, the very sticky stuff. And then I built off this arm and these other arms back here from there. So like, this is the big rock. The next rock is this big one sort of right here in this area here. And I did the super glue thing, let it dry. And then I did one on this side too for balance. And then after the super glue, I used Marco 400 mortar. It's a reef keeping mortar. It's very clean Portland cement. And I've got a video on exactly how I did that. And you can watch that video to get all the tips and stuff that I stated in there. But that's the stuff that I used. It's very good stuff. Found a bristleworm yesterday. What are the chances there are more? Probably about 1,000,000%. Excuse me. Yeah, usually when you see one, there's already more in the tank. Bristleworms are not your enemy. I know a lot of people don't like the way that they look. I know a lot of people, it kind of grosses them out and creeps them out and stuff, but bristleworms are one of the best cleaners we can get for our tanks. And oftentimes we get them for free. And they replicate in the tank, reproduce, make more of themselves and stuff like that. Generally, they don't get out of hand in population unless the tank is being overfed. And then in that case, they can. But there are animals you can get to put in the tank to help control the population, like an arrow crab. Some wrasses and damsels will eat them. I've even seen a picture one time of a bang-eye cardinalfish with a bristleworm in its mouth, but I don't think they generally eat them in most cases. But I wouldn't worry too much about it unless you start seeing them really crawling all over everything. It's not a big deal. Every reef tank has them. Even if people think they don't have them, there probably are some in there. Let's see. Joe says, gotcha, thank you. Another question that I can't find a real good answer to. How do you go about setting up a half-decent frag tank? That's a great question. So you would start with a tank that is not your normal dimension, like a tank like this. They call them low boys. So they're usually wide and they're really low. They're only 8 or 12 inches tall, 2 foot by 2 foot or something like that, and about 8 inches in depth. They even make them now as an all-in-one with a filtration section along the back. But really, all a frag tank needs, it can be bare bottom. You're going to have a frag rack of some sort in there. You can create one yourself. You can DIY one. I sell little legs that go onto egg crate material, that light diffuser material that you see in all the coral stores and stuff. On my Etsy store, I have legs where you can build your frag rack, and you can even stack them and make tiers and stuff. So you got to have something for flow. It doesn't really matter what it is. You got to have a light, of course, and you got to have a heater. Aside from that, you really don't need anything else for a frag tank. It doesn't have to have a sump. It doesn't have to have massive filtration. Generally, people put 1 or 2 small fish in there just to keep the cycle rocking and rolling and impart some ammonia and have a reason to feed the tank. But otherwise, there's really not that much to it. When you go to a coral show, like a trade show or something like Reefapalooza, all those people with all those booths, that's what they're using. And it's because it works really well. You can get top-down views. It's really easy to move your frags around. There's a lot of horizontal space. But that being said, I've made frag tanks out of 5-gallon tanks, 10-gallon. It really doesn't matter. I have even set up temporary frag tanks in things that were not even aquariums, just like 5-gallon buckets and stuff like that. But if it's going to be a tank, that would probably be the way that I would go. Denny says, what's your opinion on arrow crabs? I've had a few. In my experience, they don't live very long. Everyone that I have ever gotten, I've only ever had it for a few months, and then they end up dying. They're really weird, curious looking animal. I mean, I kind of like them, because they're just sort of strange. But they tend to prefer lower flow tanks because of their spindly legs and stuff. I don't find that they like really high flow environments. So in a situation where you're trying to get rid of some bristleworms, maybe a good idea. In a low flow, like a softy tank or something, they're probably good. But I don't have good results with them in mixed reefs. Other people do, but I don't. Weld says, we in there. What's up, man? Happy to see you here. Brandon asked, when you did the nitrobiotic on the sea cardinal, did you do the 1 mil dose 3 times a week or something else? Trying this for my dinos. So mine was, it was about 1 mil. The sea cardinal's 22 gallons in the display part. So it's about 25 gallons total. And I did the 1 mil 3 times a week, and it really helped. It knocked them down quite a bit. but it definitely didn't like completely eradicate them. I did the blackout. That seemed to help at the end after they were already knocked back a bit. But keep in mind, this was all an experiment. It's not a perfect methodology for getting rid of them. Ultimately, they did begin coming back. So I bit the bullet and I turned the lights off on the tank for an entire month. I left them off the whole month. There was a bunch of algae growing in there as well. And I turned the lights back on a week or so ago, and the algae is beginning to come back a little bit, but the dinos are not coming back. So I think maybe, and this is just spitballing here, I think maybe the nitrobiotic plus, the initial blackout kind of helped, and the nitrobiotic helped too. And then the long blackout helped tremendously knock the dinos back, and the non-photosynthetic bacteria was able to populate during that time, and hopefully maybe they're gone for good now. The tank, look, I'll show you. The little tank is actually looking pretty clean. It's pretty clear. I'm happy with it. Now, the corals did bleach a bit because of the lights out situation, but none of them died. But they're all very easy corals in here. Blastos, a couple of those, and some mushrooms, and some zoas and other polyps, and some firework cloves. I actually have some exosphere zoas in here that I need to get out and get into my main display, because I'd really like to have those on show in my main tank. I just put some salted agaves right there, big old colony of those that I've been growing out for about a year. So pretty happy with it, but keep in mind, it was just an experiment. It's not a perfect methodology, not yet anyway. What's going on, Eddie? Nice to see you here. Armstrong says, I've used reef crystals in previous tanks, decided to go with Coral Pro for the Evo. What is your thought on salt acclimate for corals? I'm not sure I'm picking up what you're putting down there. I don't acclimate corals unless the alkalinity is very different from the tank that I'm getting them from and my tank. So usually when I go get corals, either from a person or from a store, I'll ask them, what is the alkalinity of this system? And if theirs is at like 11, because they're trying to grow things really fast, mine's sitting at about 7.2. I would do an acclimation, just a drip, to slow down that sort of conversion. The big swings in alkalinity pisses corals off, but most of the time I don't ever acclimate corals. They just they get dipped and they go in the tank. But QTing them is a very important thing, and I'm going to be having to set up a QT tank here real soon for corals, I believe. Heezy says, what's up, man? I'm currently trying to fight Amphidinium dinos, silicate and bacteria dosing and adding copepods. I really just want to get rid of it. Yep. You and anyone else who has ever had dinos, that's the thing. You just want to get them gone. They're such a pain in the butt. They're so ugly to look at. Amphidinium are toxic as well, so you need to be running activated carbon while you're fighting these things, and change it out weekly.
Armstrong said he's going to be moving his corals from his 10-gallon over to the Evo. Sorry for not finding that.
Oh, okay. So Armstrong, you're going from the 10-gallon to the Evo. As long as the alkalinity, again, is pretty close, I wouldn't acclimate them at all. Just get the parameters close-ish and send it. They'll be all right. If it's something super sensitive, like if you have an elegance coral in there or something like that, then you might want to do a little bit more, acclimation for that. But if it's just normal stuff, torches, hammers, whatever, they'll be fine. So let's see. Yeah, you're doing the right thing with the Amphidinium. Silicate dosing is the way to go to induce a diatom bloom. But there are some other things that you might also consider adding to the tank to assist. Tropic Marin Nitrobiotic is a good product, and it helped me. We were talking about that a minute ago. It helped me reduce the dinos in the sea cardinal. Another one is, I literally just thought about it. Bulldog Reef. So dog, DAWG, Bulldog Reef. Code RRWL15 gets you 15% off with them. I don't make any money on that. It's just a little partnership that we did. They're a little small company and they sell copepods and phytoplankton and stuff. They have a diatomaceous phytoplankton blend, and it helps with certain species of dinoflagellates because you can put that in there and they help outcompete them and whatnot. So yeah, you may check those things out, maybe add those to the tank as well as the silicates to hit it on like 3 fronts or something, you know? By the way, if you're new here and you don't know who I am, my name is Logan. I run Reef Rookies, the most respectful reef keeping community on all of the internet. We hang out in a whole bunch of different places. I have a website where you can find everything Reef Rookies at reefrookies.com. So be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss my videos or these live streams, and check out the website because there's all kinds of stuff there that maybe you didn't know about. Enough of that. Weld says, finally got my hands on an RODI setup. Comes out 0 TDS every time. Perfect. T-Pain says, good morning. Finally made a live trying the Kato in my sump. How long do you keep it? How do you keep it from falling apart everywhere? You don't. You can. Some people, they will put power heads or flow devices of some kind in the sump to make that Kato ball roll. And the rolling of the ball kind of keeps it all clumped and stuck together. I don't like Katomorpha for that exact reason. It tends to, pieces die off and they fall and then they degrade and they end up adding nutrients back to the tank instead of removing them like they should be. Macroalgae refugiums to me can be so much prettier than just a Kato ball. In fact, in my last video, the one where I did like a day in the life of, by the way, did you guys like that video? It didn't do very well. It seems like people didn't like it very much. I put a lot of work into that too. But anyway, the last video that I did, I showed my macroalgae refugium and I have rocks in there, clownfish, sailfin molly, a bunch of different types of macroalgae. I've got grape caulerpa, I've got codium, and I've got some other ones that I can't remember the name of right now. But there's a bunch of other macros that you could choose from that I think not only work better than Kato, but they look so much better too. So anyway, yeah, you're going to be fighting keeping that stuff cleaned up pretty much always. Have you ever thought of making a video of subscribers tank? They send you pictures and you tell us what you think and what we should do to make it look better. That's an interesting concept. I have not done that. You got it on the list? Okay. I know there's a guy on TikTok. I've talked to him a couple of times. What is that dude's name? I forget, but I can't remember his dang name. And that bugs me, but I haven't even been consuming much content lately. But he kind of does a thing like that where he'll like rate your tank. You know, you send him your pictures on Instagram and he'll rate your tank. But that's an interesting thing. I'll think about that. I have NO3 of 100. Okay. PO4 is 0.25. All my corals, perfect health. Is everything good? So here's the thing, right? Usually what people say is if the tank looks good, leave it alone. Nitrate at 100 is pretty friggin' high, although I know people who have run successful tanks with nitrate that high. If it's really packed full of a lot of corals, it can be sustainable. If there's not a lot of corals in the tank, then it could potentially be a problem. One thing that I would tell you to check for is to see where your nitrite are, because nitrate test kits convert nitrate back into nitrite before they take the reading. And if you have nitrite in the tank, 1-2 ppm, something like that, it'll falsely elevate the nitrate test kit. So that's something to check for. And also checking to make sure that that reading is accurate is another thing that I would test for, because most tanks don't run at 100 ppm nitrate. They can, and as long as you have, you know, a solid cleanup crew and the tank is really absorbing those nutrients because it needs it, they can be successful. It's just not the general guideline, you know? I feel like I need to be closer to the camera. Hang on. But it's me having to read stuff and move the chat. I think I was too far away.
Wait for your glasses.
Yeah, I got new glasses coming. What's going on, Denver? Nice to see you here. Thank you so much for joining the chat. Russell has a 125 fish only tank with a 55-gallon sump, just a basic setup and very happy with. And I think there was more to that. But I don't see what it might have been, Russell. So cool setup, sounds like. If you have a question, let me know. Bam Bam just ordered some of the glue about an hour ago. There you go. Very cool. Oh, you had to delete a bunch of stuff.
It was,
Junk, yeah. There's a Red Sea 200 on, nope. Don't do it. Listen. Don't do it. Every single day, somebody posts in a group somewhere a new Red Sea, especially the big ones like that have popped. Ain't no way. I wouldn't put one in my house. Unfortunately, because Red Sea makes a lot of good products, but I don't trust their tanks. Now, the new ones that are Euro braced and have more support and all of that stuff, that's a little different situation. But that Red Sea 200 is, if it's on Facebook Marketplace for $125, it's probably one of the old G2s, and it probably already started bubbling, and that's why they're getting rid of it. I wouldn't do it myself. Arson, my Bang-Eye Cardinals would not eat pellets either. I started using DKI Easy Reef fish food, the pellet, the 2.0 pellet, and they eat that up. The Bang-Eye, it loves that stuff. That's the only pellet that I've ever gotten that Bang-Eye Cardinal to eat. So maybe that's something that, you could take a look at. I think it's a really good food. They sent me some, but they're not paying me to say anything. They could be, but they're not. And that my Bang-Eyes began eating it. I was pretty happy about that. Weld asked if I seen the video of the sea turtle trying to eat the fireworm. Yeah, that's pretty funny. He was having a heck of a time. Love your content, bro. Watching from India. Very cool. Nice to have you here all the way from over there. But to you, it's that I'm all the way over here, but that's all good. Mathis says, hello, man. Tank looking good behind you. Thank you very much. There's a big rock flower anemone right here. He's huge. And things are really doing well. I just today installed the Triton Core 7 Flex elemental supplementation program onto the tank. I just began dosing it to the tank this morning. So you can probably expect me to post in about 3 months something to the effect of, oh my God, my corals are exploding. Because that's generally what happens when a tank reaches the point where you have to begin dosing. And then you do that, the growth just goes nuts for a little while until everything balances back out again. So be on the lookout for that. I have a white long tentacle anemone. Okay, last 2 weeks it's turned purple. Is that a sign of good or bad health? Tips seem longer and seems happy, but wondered if normal for them to change color. Okay, so long tentacle nymphs generally aren't white. There are some white species of anemone, but they're mostly sebae and condylactis. Long tentacles are usually colors. So it's very possible that you purchased a nymph that was bleached and now it's returning to its actual coloration, which kudos to you. Very good job. Nicely done. Now, if that coloration is just on the tips of the tentacles, like a dot on the end, or just like the last inch of the tentacle is beginning to turn purple, then that's probably a Haitian condylactis, and that's the only purple that it will ever get. They stay kind of tan or kind of white with that purple tip. Very beautiful anemone. They have a little bit more stronger of a sting than a normal long tentacle. But generally clownfish don't mess with them quite as much, but it's still a really pretty anemone. And the fact that yours is coloring up is giving some credence to your, keeping ability as a hobbyist. So well done. How to attach or glue. I can never say the name of that coral. Yeah, I'm not even going to try. To a tank wall. I tried 3 times with cyanuracrylate, but it keeps falling. Any ideas? That's always a tough one. Make sure that you're cleaning the glass before you try to glue something to it. And I have not really ever found that super glue does really well in that sort of situation until coralline algae begins to grow on the glass, and then it has something to kind of adhere to. One thing that you can do to make it work that I've seen people do is just you get like a frag rack, a single magnetic frag rack, and you stick it on the back wall with the magnet and everything, put the coral in it, and then just let it grow from there. And that'll work sometimes. We got 82 people in here, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this stream today. Love to have you here. Pachiclavularia. Pachiclavularia. I can't say that coral name. What's up, Ozark? Nice to have you here. Andy's in the house. Caleb is here. Got the learning hat on. I don't know if you could squeeze it in, but it'd be cool to have one Sunday out of the month that's a tank show-off day for the community. Huh. There's a lot of logistics involved with that. It's an interesting idea, though. Maybe we'll do, maybe somebody mentioned earlier about doing a video with people like community tanks and stuff and talking about what would be improved and things like that. I don't know. That's two people that have mentioned that. It's a very interesting idea. Worldwide Corals does something like that. They travel around and check out people's tanks. Unfortunately, I don't have their budget. Not even close. But yeah, interesting concept. Maybe we can figure something out. Weld says, I feel like my dinos are slowly going away. I got some on my acro still, and my zoas, akins are about dead. Doing my best. Yeah, dinos suck, man. There's just no other way to put it. They suck. They're terrible. Terrible, for sure. Keep up with a good fight, though, man. You're gonna get there in the end. Armstrong says, I'll be moving coral. Oh, answered that already. Oh, God, I'm kind of far behind again already. Yeah, this is just the way it goes, you guys. You guys know that. Those of you who've been here for a while, you know I get like 20 minutes behind. I'm curious about other live foods we can feed. I was reading something about feeding blackworms. Do you have any experience with this? Not directly, no. But if you dig around a little bit, you will find some information about how to culture your own living white worms. And I don't know the differences biologically between the black worms and the white worms, but I do know that some companies use white worms in saltwater fish food. So very interesting. I actually almost went down that rabbit hole. They're really not that hard to breed, the white worms. You can set a thing up and it's all sealed up kind of, and you keep it. I think you have to keep it in the fridge. But yeah, you end up with thousands of white worms, and you can just go in there and get a scoop and kind of run some RODI water over them to clean them, toss them in the tank, live food, bang. Fish go nuts. So check into that, Kelly. Maybe something. I'm sure if you Google like white worm culture for reef tank, you'll find the information that I had found before. I think it might have been somebody on Reef to Reef was documenting their journey. It was a forum post. So check that out. Gnarly says, hi, Logan. Your persistence on positive community is refreshing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, because I truly believe that we can have a space in this hobby where people don't treat each other like crap. I think we can also do that in life as well. But as far as the reefing hobby goes, some of the spaces are so negative and just honestly abhorrent. They're just trash. And I wanted to create a space that would help solve that problem. And so we're growing. And I've definitely seen some people taking that mindset over into other places too. And that's always nice. We can spread that through the hobby. And yeah, that's good. 86 people in the chat. That might be a new record.
30 minutes in, it is.
For 30 minutes in, it definitely is a new record. Thank you all for joining us. Love having you here. Bear with me because I get too far behind, but I want to answer every single comment. That's just how we do it. I feed my tank raw shrimp, cut up really fine, not all the time, just for the corals that eat meaty foods and such. I do give a variety, though. It's not a bad way to go. A lot of people make their own fish foods and stuff like that. So, yeah, not bad. Trav says, do you have a DIY Neo Nitro? Yes. I have a video. The easiest way to find my video, I have a video and also a blog talking about DIY supplements, nitrate, phosphate, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, and maybe a pH 1 and a few other DIY things. Go to my website, reefrookies.com, go to the education tab, and then to Reefing Insights. Those are our blogs. look for the Reefing Insight that talks about saving money and click on that. You'll have the blog, and then at the end of the blog, you'll find the video as well where I kind of explain it on screen. But yeah, it's not hard to DIY your own supplements. When you designed your filter media baskets, how much of a rabbit hole did you go down designing the pass-through holes on them? Love mine, by the way, work amazingly. Well, I'm super glad that you like them. How much of a rabbit hole was that? About 6 months of trial and error and testing things and trying to figure out what sort of the right hole size and shape was and all that. And there is a really, really, really important reason that my filter baskets holes are shaped the way that they are. And no, I am not going to say what that reason is. That is an insider secret. But there's a really important reason why they're shaped that way. So anyway, yeah, it was a definite rabbit hole for sure. And it wasn't long after I began like tinkering with 3D printing and all of that stuff and 3D modeling, which I've done that a little bit before, but never for reef tanks. It wasn't long after I got started with that I began trying to make the filter baskets and stuff like that. So I was learning modeling and flow dynamics and design and all that stuff all at the same time. And yeah, the last 2 years, I have learned more doing all of this than probably the entire time that I was at university for 6 years, because it's constant every day. Y'all come up with some questions with some bugs and some stuff under microscopes that I've never seen before. But it's a good thing. Jay says, hey, what's up, man? Nice to see you. Tim's late, but here. Thank you so much for joining us, Tim. How do you raise alkalinity without affecting pH? You get soda ash. No. Is it soda ash? I don't remember which way it goes. Somebody will answer me in the comments. So it's food grade baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. If you run it pure as sodium bicarbonate, it will give you an alkalinity boost, and I think that's the one that also boosts the pH. If you don't want the pH boost, then you take that and you spread it out on a cookie sheet and you bake it in the oven and you create soda ash, and that will raise the alkalinity without boosting the pH. It might even drop the pH just slightly. I think that's the way it goes. You can find that information in that same blog that I was just talking about earlier, under the alkalinity part. And look, I didn't come up with that stuff. I'm not a chemist. Most of that is information that I learned from Randy Holmes Farley, who is a chemist. I just wanted to bring it to you in my style and in my way. But yeah, so it's either sodium bicarb or it's soda ash. I think it's soda ash that doesn't affect the pH. Somebody will let me know in the comments, because soda ash raises pH, so I was backwards. So if you don't want the pH boost, then you use the sodium bicarb just by itself. Dissolve it in RODI water. There's calculators online linked in that blog that I was talking about that you can figure out how much to dose. So there we go. UV, what? I always get them backwards every time. Even when I'm trying to go do it, I have to go look it up again to make sure I'm doing the right one, because there's only a limited amount of room up here. There's a lot of crap floating around in there that I can't get rid of.
That particular one is one that every time you're like,
yeah, it's every time. Maybe I'll get it tattooed.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, I'll get the chemical formula tattooed on my hand with the stuff that it does, so I can just look at my hand, you know? Yeah, anyway, UV was the hammer that beat my dinos. That will work if it's a species of dinoflagellate that responds to UV, like Ostreopsis. It will work, and that is the recommended treatment for those bugs. Kind of hard to run a refugium on a nano tank. Am I right? Yes. You can run a fuge on a nano tank, but typically if you're trying to run the refugium for the purpose of nutrient management, it's not going to be large enough to actually do the job properly. So with a nano tank, what I like to do is put another tank above it and run a display refugium about the same size as the nano tank. And so you can treat it just like a tank with a sump. So you have the nano tank, the display fuge is above it. You put a drain in that one, you pump up from the nano up to the refugium, it runs through there, and then it drains back down into the nano. Doing it that way, your ATO is still in the return section of the nano, and you have a display refugium above it. I've done that before. I had like a 10-gallon display and a 10-gallon fuge right above it on a shelf. It was pretty cool. Some of y'all liked the video. Very cool. Little change of pace behind the scenes. Nice. Hang on the back refugium is the way to go. You could do that too. I still find them a little bit small in most cases. If you're using it for nutrient management, rather than doing a refugium, you could do an algae reactor with chaetomorpha algae, and that would be more effective as a nutrient reduction tool than a refugium on a nano tank. What's the matter?
Nothing.
Oh.
Jason said that the box face sees something good back there. I was looking.
Oh. Yeah, was he up here in the corner? He likes to get up there and chew on the bubbles. Let's see. Joe says, I enjoyed the video. Just telling my fiance the other day that I'd like to see in the day in the life video, and then you posted. I knew who was waiting on it. Yeah. Running an Aqua Clear 70 filled with Chaeto 10-gallon reverse light cycle. It works. Nitrate 0, phosphate 0.18. Interesting. You definitely want to get that nitrate up from 0, though. That's for sure. Thank you, Kimberly. Said slam the like button. Appreciate that. I was wondering if I get some Molly from PetSmart and they are in freshwater, I'm imagining that you're going to ask if they can be converted. And yes, they can. Some people have had good results just putting them straight into the salt water. I don't think it's a great way to do it. You can induce osmotic shock that way. So the way that I convert mine is I drip them over 12 or 14 hours. Very, very long drip acclimation from the freshwater over to the saltwater. It would be even better if you drip them to a hyposalinity. What is that? Oh, that's her alarm.
Yeah.
That's fine. An even better thing to do, yeah, would be to drip acclimate them up to like 1.018, something like that. Let them hang out in that for a few days, and then take them up to 1.025 if you're going to put them in a reef tank. But people have had lots of different success and lots of different ways doing it, yeah. I can see Huey, Dewey, and Louie are swimming around happy. Yep, they are. There's two of them right there. Oh, they're all three up there. Or no, that's the powerhead. He's back there. They're really hard to see sometimes with that black background. And yeah, those are a damsel of some kind. Still don't know. Haven't tried to find out anymore what they are. But yeah, they're very happy. Redoing some lines and missed part of the stream. No worries. We're only been going for about 45 minutes. What's up, Coco? Nice to see you here again. Thank you so much for joining. Reef Rookies, new subscriber here all the way from the UK. Love the channel. Keep up the good content. Thank you, Mr. Tomo. Appreciate that. Now that you mentioned macroalgae refugia, I just started a refugium and would like to grow some algae I can feed back to my tangs. What would you recommend? Great question, Nick. I would recommend Codium, Codium. It is an excellent macroalgae to grow for tangs and fox faces and other fish that like to eat algae. It's super easy to grow. It does grow a little bit slow, but you can get a pretty big ball of it going in a couple months. And then you can just snip a piece off, drop it in the main display, and feed the tangs. It's good. Some of the caulerpas are good, like the really broad leafy caulerpas. They like that. Halaminia is a pretty good one. Halamedia as well. Both of those are all right. They typically don't go too much after stuff like atomic broccoli, but that is a macroalgae that I want to get my hands on here real soon. I would like to put some in my fuge. Super gorgeous macroalgae. If you guys have never looked up a planted macroalgae reef tank, go do that. Not right now, after the stream. Go look that up. There's a Facebook group called Planted and Macroalgae Reef Tanks or something like that. There are some people in there with some absolutely gorgeous aquariums, and they're just macroalgae. No corals, or very few corals, macros and gorgonians. Beautiful. That is not a thing that I have ever done before, but it is a thing that I want to do. Starting up my second take today, says Jason. There you go. Multi-tank syndrome in the house again. Jamie, what's up, my friend? So one of my corals looks like the devil's hand maybe has 2 dark brown, blackish kind of fuzzy looking tips, but the rest looks fine with green polyps all over. Should I cut those tips off? Yes. I would say that you probably should. Make sure you top your carbon off before you do that because it might release some toxins. It sounds like maybe STN, slow tissue necrosis, or that part of the coral is just being damaged in some way. I would sharp scissors, snip it off. It should heal and be fine after that. But if that stuff is growing, you want to get rid of that infection. Go back to get good margins, cut into some healthy tissue so that there's no infection coming through there, and it should be okay. But do change the carbon out before you do that. Dodge says, complete noob to saltwater. Been watching all your videos, considering a 25-45 all-in-one for my office. It's a great size. Great size. I would even say go with the 45 or 40 or 45 if you can. It's going to be a little bit more forgiving for you than the 25 will. And it's not that much more work, Also, everybody, in case you didn't know, I do one-on-one consultations. So for somebody like Dodge, if you're just getting in and then you're inundated with information and you just kind of want somebody to tell you exactly what to do, hit up the website, find the consultation button, click that, book one, we'll talk about it and get you off on the right path. Cedric says, phosphate is 0.05, nitrate is 1.3, is a good range for my tank. Yes, I wouldn't change anything about that. I would leave it just as it is. It's not technically in the 100 to 1 range. It's about, what is that, 50 to 1, 200 to 1. Is it 200 to 1 or 50 to 1? 50 to 1 would be more fun. 200 to 1 is about roughly what that is. That's fine. A lot of people's opinion, especially people who have been doing this hobby for a very long time, the perfect phosphate number is like 0.03 or 0.04. Like you want some there, but just enough to register. That's what they say. I don't have the chemistry background to tell you exactly why that number is the perfect number, but that's what they say. Like Triton Labs, that's what they recommend. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything about that. If anything, I might bring the nitrates down just a little bit, get them down to like 9 or 10, but that's chasing numbers. If the tank looks good, leave it alone. Have you experienced with a yellow watchman goby and a pistol shrimp combo? If so, did you enjoy having them or were they a pain? I have them right sitting right here next to me. Hang on. Let me see if I can, let me grab the camera. See if I can do this without him going away. Let me try to zoom. There he is. Right there. The little yellow watchman goby. The pistol shrimp kind of stays under this thing, which is a 3D printed doohickey. It's hollow on the inside, and the pistol shrimp kind of stays under there. They've made it their home. But yeah, that's a blue-green blasto. That's a really big Aptasia. No big deal. But yeah, so I really enjoy watchman gobies and pistol shrimps, and I love symbiotic relationships like that. So it's definitely something that I would recommend everyone have at least once in their sort of reef keeping life, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to say that. It's a really awesome thing. They're super chill. The pistol shrimp, when he's happy, when you feed the tank, you'll hear him popping. Sometimes it's a little annoying because you'll be trying to watch a movie and he's over there just having a day, and doing that. But they're super cool animals. Weld says something, at least in the Discord. Facebook is huge. What did you say, Weld? I don't know. Yeah, we do have a Discord community too. I'm not as active there as I would like to be, but we do have it, and it runs really well. The people in that Discord are super chill. Sean says my hammers are splitting after 3 weeks of Core 7 Flex. Yep, I would expect that. pretty standard. Kelly wants to talk about Hannah checkers. Okay. My FOS would always show 0.04, 0.06, did Triton ICP, and FOS would always show 0.02. I was having all kinds of trouble with coral polyps bailing, started dosing Neofos to be continued. The amount of positive change is so awesome. Moral of the story, ICP tests can tell you so much. Now I keep my Hannah around 0.1 phosphate. Interesting. Interesting. So one of the things that we have to keep in mind, right, is let me get back to where I just was. One of the things that we have to keep in mind is that all the methods of testing, even ICP analysis, has a range of deviation where I think the Hannah checkers is like 4%. Is it 4% or 0.04% or something like that? 4 is in there, where they can be off a bit. And that's just the way precision equipment works. The more precise it is, the lower the range of deviation is for a possible error. But even the Hannah checkers, they're not lab grade. They're precision more than the other things are, and they have a higher accuracy tolerance as well, but they're not a lab grade device. And like I said, even ICP tests have a deviation error and like a low detection limit where they can't go any lower than that, So just keep that in mind when you're doing your testing. That 0.04 on your Hannah checker could be anywhere from 0.02 to 0.06, for example, What we really, really need to be looking for with our tanks are trends. So if your Hannah checker is telling you that it's 0.04, that's fine. If it's telling you that it's 0.04 every week, and then you get a 0.05, and then a 0.06, and then a 0.07, 8, 9, now you know you got a problem. Or vice versa. If it's going along and then it begins to go down every week, or if it's going along and it's down, then it's high, then it's way down, then it's way up again, that's a possible testing error, or there could be some fluctuation going on in the tank. Maybe you changed food, or maybe your skimmer is not doing what it's supposed to be, and sometimes it's working and sometimes it's not. Things like that are flags. They're indicators that we need to take a deeper look at what's going on. But concentrate on that stability. That's your main thing. Is he okay?
Yeah.
Oh, you keep looking.
Somebody's asking about
Asking about Minus?
Yeah.
Oh, he's taking a nap. Oh, we woke him up. He looks kind of scruffy right now.
He's due for a beauty parlor.
He's due for a trip to the beautician, yes. Gloria Ortiz says, will dinos go away simply with water changes? Generally speaking, no. Dino flagellates, I have a whole video on dinos and why they show up and what happens. But in short form, they generally show up because an opportunity has been presented to them where they can become the dominant organism. Either the microbiome has died back for some reason, there's some sort of a fluctuation in the bacterial population in the tank. A lot of times we see it when nutrients fall out to zero, but it's not because the nutrients are zero. It's because when the nutrients go to zero, the other bacterial populations begin to die back. And then the dinos, because they are not only chemoautotrophs, where they, is that right? Chemoautotroph? Maybe I shouldn't have said that word. They can use the nutrients in the water, but they're also photosynthetic. So when the nutrients die back, or when the nutrients drop, the bacteria die back, the dinos can take advantage of that situation because they can pull energy from the lights, do photosynthesis, and grow in population when the other bacteria can't because the nutrients are low, is what I'm trying to get out of my head. Chemoautotroph. Yes, that is a bug that intakes something, uses that thing to make its energy. So like humans are chemoautotrophs. We eat things and convert them to energy. Yes, that's pretty sure that's what I meant to say. Anyway, simply doing water changes generally will not make them go away, but stranger things have happened. Weird stuff happens all the time. Like I turned my light on 150% for 2 days and, everything's better now. It just happens. Let's see. Loki, I'm slowly preparing my setup for a saltwater tank. Got a 37-gallon tank. Plan on having hang on the back refugium. How big should it be? As big as you can get. Literally, no kidding. As big of one as you can fit on there. That's what you should go for. The bigger, the better. As far as refugiums go, that is the thing. Reef Keeper is in the house talking to Kelly. Okay, you've used live blackworms for years. Fish love them. You need to keep them in the fridge and rinse with fresh water daily or they will rot. Good to know. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome information. Colorblind says, do you have to keep white worms in the fridge? I checked into that and my wife went, nope, won't happen. I can't recall. I believe that you do, but if your home is really cool, or if you live in a cool environment, maybe not so much. But I don't remember exactly. You guys will have to look up the information on those. Reef Keeper said that they're great to get copper bands feeding. Interesting. Interesting for sure. Hope you're having a wonderful day, David. Thank you so much. And listening in while painting the living room. I despise painting anything. My wife is shaking her head. She's like, yes. I'm like, ceiling is in there? We're going to have to get scaffolding from Home Depot and build it in the living room. Notice she told me to climb. Yoko, what's up? Nice to see you here. Love the channel. Have a 40-gallon breeder with a hang on the back filter, no sump. Is a hang on the back refugium worth it? Yeah, for sure. Anytime you can add more diversity, especially natural diversity, so adding macroalgae, adding more critters, more space for copepods and things to breed, it's always a good thing. It's never a bad thing. Doing it wrong could be a bad thing, but just having it, no, it's always a good thing. In fact, there are some macroalgae, and I don't remember which ones. You would have to go down that rabbit hole, and it's deep. But there are some macroalgae that have been studied that the study indicates that they might have a prophylactic antibiotic type effect in the tank and keeping bad bacterial populations down. So it's really worth looking into and maybe doing that. Yeah. I recently started making my own fish food and my fish love it. What are you doing, Bam Bam? Tell me. Ordered a Pop Bloom 60 light cover for you. Thank you for providing one for the 60. You're very welcome, Ozark. Yeah, I put a lot of work into that cover. That was one of my most intricate ones, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah. And a lot of people have them and a lot of people like them now that UPS has stopped crushing them. USPS. Yeah. Anyway, Desert says, I've never had a fish not eat live white worms. Super easy to cultivate them, but also super easy to overfeed your tank with them. Great food for picky eaters. Love it. Love that. Armstrong says, do you soak your pet G made pieces in salt water before putting them in your tank? Nope. I just clean them and send it. That's it. I don't soak them at all. Most of what I print, I try really hard to make sure that it's not going to have water intrusion. But like, for example, that little dude right there, let me grab one. This is a thing that I designed and made recently, which is now on my Etsy store. And it's a frag stand, not really all that different from anybody else's, but that's what it looks like. And it's got this little dome on the top, which you can take off if you don't want. So this comes off, and it's just a frag stand, but the bottom is quite heavy, and that piece just snaps on there, kind of like that. And my thinking behind this is that you could put encrusting coral frags on here that would grow out, and then as they grow past the edge, you can frag them right along the edge of this dome. You could also take the dome off and glue it down somewhere else if you wanted to, because super glue gel sticks to this stuff like crazy. But anyway, yeah, I made that. And I think that you could probably put a lot of these like side by side and stuff and make like Zoa gardens with them, or this would be really great for putting like Goniopora on, or like Galaxia or something like that. So you can make a ball, but if you have to move it, you can move it around the tank to keep it protected away from other stuff. But no, I print this stuff. I give it a little clean. In the tank it goes. I don't soak it. No, it's okay. I'm going to take a quick little break, top off my coffee. Everybody bear with me for just a few minutes. Enjoy my aquarium. One of them. Gotta get the caramel sauce in the coffee. Dang, we've gone through. Did you get coffee?
I think you made an entire pot. Well, I'm on my second cup.
You on your second cup?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had 12 cups of water in there. Shoot. Do. That rock flower anemone has got to be one of my favorite things in the tank. That thing is so huge. Like, that's a 6-inch sailfin tang in front of that rock flower right now. That fox face is probably about 5 inches long too. Yeah. Big old boys. So, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind.
You're good.
All right. How long does the pop blooms last? I've been replacing my lights on my 120 every 2 years. I want something to last longer. I ran 4 pop bloom RL90s on this tank for like well over a year without having any issues. I haven't heard of anybody saying anything about the pop bloom sort of light dying or anything like that. The most common problem people have is the fan gets loud sometimes. But if you contact Pop Bloom, they'll send you another one. And then everybody was correcting me on my soda ash memory lapse. Eddie is driving. What? Well, you just listen. Don't type while you drive. What did you say? I got 2 Nemos since my wife left the house. Let's see. Best way to battle Ostreopsis. UV sterilization. 1 watt per 3 gallons of tank water volume if you can. That's really difficult on big tanks like this. Like that would be a 600 watt UV for me, which is very, very, very expensive. So you can offset the power by getting a really long one. So I have a 40 watt Pentair, but it's 4 feet long. So it's got a ton of duration. And you want a really powerful UV sterilizer, and you want to run it on really low flow. Keep the lights on. Don't black the tank out. When the lights go off, that particular dyno free swims in the water column, goes through the UV, gets zapped. That's the best way to deal with those. It's really the only way to deal with those. Sean says, I have a Fiji Cube Pro medium hang on the back refugium. Seems okay on the 15 gallon. Very cool. Redbeard's Reef. Thank you, Weld. Oh, coffee is good. Let me go past all of that. My fish keep dying every time. Water is good, but now I'm running carbon. That screams pathogen, my friend. Kimberly says, what video were you talking about when you said it hasn't done well? Yeah, I was talking about the most recent one that I made, the behind the scenes one. It is not performing as well as other videos that I have released recently. And so it has a down arrow for me in my analytics, which that's YouTube telling me that video didn't do very well. It even had a pop-up that said less of your subscribers are choosing to watch this video, which means that people just aren't clicking on it. So that's a bummer. Maybe it'll pick up a little steam, but it's not really a video designed for search. So once it's done, it's probably done. How often should carbon be changed? Generally, once a week is a good bet. If the tank is really clean, you can stretch it out to 2 weeks. But on average, changing the carbon once a week is a good way to go. What's the best way to get a bounce mushroom to attach to a plug or a rock? Mine let go of the plug and blows around the tank. Put it in some sort of container, like get a glass bowl and put some rock rubble in the bottom of that bowl and put it in that bowl with that. Sometimes you can put a lid of some kind on it. You have to still allow water flow, of course, and all of that. But that's probably the easiest way. And then just give it time. Give it a month, and it'll attach to something. It wants to be attached to something. But a lot of mixed reefs have higher flow that won't allow that thing to settle down into a spot, and it'll just keep getting blown around. So you have to slow down the flow, and putting it in a glass bowl or something like that's the best way to do it. Thank you, Weld, for having people like the stream. I appreciate that. The more of you that do that, the more people YouTube shows this to, and the more people we can teach about reef keeping stuff. Thoughts on running a carbon sack on new startup? I don't really think that it's needed unless you're like moving a tank and reusing sand, or if you got rocks that have previously died off and then they weren't put through like a bleach bath or something like that, then you would probably want to use carbon for a while. If you're getting live rock that might have some die off, you might consider running a little carbon with that. But most of the time, a new startup tank, there's no toxins in there that it would have to be removing. So it's not something I generally recommend during the nitrogen cycle time of the tank. Eddie says, question, is Aptasia bad, however you spell it? Yeah, most people consider it a pest. It will sting corals and it can get out of hand very, very quickly. I have Aptasia in all of my saltwater tanks except the wine glass tank right now. So I'm going to have to do something here pretty soon to fix that problem. Yeah, most people don't like it. What's your opinion on overfiltration, like running a 10-gallon sump on a 20 long? Overfiltering can be bad, right? 90 people in the stream right now. Again, 92. Again, a new record. Awesome. Can we get it to 100? I don't know. The more you guys like it and share it in various places and whatnot, the more people we can get in here. We'll see if we can hit 100 today. That would be awesome. Yes, you can overfilter a tank for sure. You don't want to ever strip the nutrients to the point where nitrate and phosphate are at zero or down near zero. Everything with reef keeping is a balance. Everything has to work together and play together for a tank to be happy. So yeah, doing too much is definitely a problem. Nobody get a dotty back. Just a PSA. Thank me later. Yeah, they can be a pain in the butt. Dotty backs are they can be a little aggressive sometimes. Reef Keeper says get a 3D printed shroom basket or DIY your own, low light, low flow. Yep, for the mushroom. Yeah. Was talking about doing like subscriber tank reviews. It'd be easier to do it in Discord because Facebook is way too big. Yeah. Minus is doing great. He left. He usually hangs out right here with us. Oh, he's right around the corner. Yeah. Had to jump on the phone real quick, say what's up, happy Sunday, watching y'all while I set up the 125. Super cool, man. Thank you for stopping by, Sean. Appreciate that. Could I get a skimmer for my Nano? It's 8-gallon AIO, 5-gallon display. Yes, there are a couple of small skimmers that you could run. The Bubble Magus Mini Q is a really good small skimmer. Ice Cap has one. It's called the K1 Nano. It's pretty small. There's one on Amazon. It has mixed reviews, but I don't remember the name of the company, but it's called the M50. You can check that out. It's a pretty interesting little design. Or you could even look at getting one of the old school wooden airstone driven skimmers. Those are basically just a tube that goes in the corner of the tank, has a little collection cup on top, air line down through the middle, wooden air stone in there, and you move the air stone and the body of the skimmer up and down to tune it. Once you get them tuned, they work really well. They do a great job, but you have to use a wooden air stone. Don't use the air stone, the stone air stones. They dissolve in salt water. Can you do a brief ammonia dosing versus nitrate dosing explanation? I would rather just do water changes on a tank on that small. Oh, talking to Weld. Yeah. So ammonia dosing versus nitrate dosing. So the basic idea. So let me explain it this way. With nitrate dosing, you're just adding the end product of all of the biological processes that happens when ammonia enters into the water. So it goes in, the bacteria do their thing, runs through all the crap, you get nitrate in the end. The corals can uptake that nitrate, use it in conjunction with photosynthesis, convert it backwards into ammonia, and then they can use it for fuel and, create ATP and NADA and all that stuff. NADA, is that right? NAD plus? God, biology was so long ago. Anyway, they use it for fuel. The idea behind ammonia dosing is that you beat all of that to the punch. So you, in a low nutrient system tank, if nitrate are down around 0 or 1, something like that, phosphate are very low, you can dose ammonium bicarbonate or even ammonium bicarb and urea mixed together. And it feeds the tank. So it's like liquid fish. It feeds the tank. It simulates a higher bioload in the tank, adds the ammonia. Some of that ammonia is taken up by the corals and used directly for food without having to convert it backwards from nitrate into ammonia, which is an energy conservational process. There's a net amount of energy that is saved by just using the ammonia directly. So it doesn't cost as much energy to make the same amount of energy, if that makes sense. So it's almost like a superfood for your corals. It gives them exactly what they need without the reverse part of the process. But the reverse part is still very important. The zooxanthella within the corals, it's all super important for all that to take place, right? So ammonia dosing is still something that's kind of new in the hobby. There's more and more people doing it. And Salem Clemens of Microbial Marine actually just released a product called nitrous. And it is ammonia and urea mixed together that you can dose to the tank to either induce the nitrogen cycle, to feed a coral only tank to keep the nitrogen cycle going, or even to ammonia dose the tank with. But that's sort of the idea. It's a 1-2 punch. It gives them what they need and it feeds the tank. That's kind of where I needed to go with all of that. So I hope that clears that up. Could I put Joe's juice on my zoa if there's an aptasia on the zoa? So it might also hurt the zoanthids. Joe's juice, the active ingredient is lemon juice, citric acid, and it's non-discriminant. So it's not going to, if you put it on the zoas, it's going to hurt them too. So you got to be very careful with it. Dim Dollar, what's up, man? Nice of you to stop by the stream. Thank you so much for being here. Poetic, we got a super sticker. Jamie says, big fan. Thank you so much for that super sticker. That means an absolute ton. You have supported us. I believe at this point, you're one of the top supporters of the channel, Jamie. You really are. And I'm so proud of you with what you've done with your tank and all of the information that I gave you. You took it, you did all the things with it, and you've turned that tank around. That tank is going to be very awesome in short order. So very proud of you. Well done. Good job on that. Poetic says, I've just set up a tank, dark start, and it's been a month. It's time to get some fish, but I can't QT my first fish. What do I do? There's always the risk that putting a fish into a tank without having that fish go through a QT, that it's going to bring some pathogen with it into the tank, even if it's the first fish that goes in there. So I would say if you're not going to QT, then do your research and purchase fish from a place that does a real, true medicated quarantine on the fish that they sell. High Tide Aquatics in Oakland does it. I think there's another one, Tropical something. If somebody knows who I'm talking about, leave it in the comment. Or if you guys have other recommendations for places that you know for a fact do a proper QT on their fish to make sure they're pathogen free, then I would choose those fish to start the tank with for sure. Because even the very first fish, especially something like a chromis that you put in the tank, could bring uronema into the tank. And once it's in there, you have to tear the tank down and sterilize it to get rid of it. So yeah. Did you see Weld's comment? If you help paint, you get a caiman in return. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's pretty much dropped the hammer on the caiman. Gecko, I've heard people say that copper bands caught from the wild 3 days ago will eat blackworms straight out of the bag. Interesting. He'd have to paint the entire house for that. You guys heard it. We have downgraded because last week she said I had to build a whole new house. Now we've downgraded and all I have to do is paint this one and I can get a caiman. Clip it. I am clipping it. Clipped it. I just clipped it right then. Bam Bam.
I got the paint colors picked out.
Oh, she already got the colors ready to go. I hate painting so much. Vitamins, salmon, clam, shrimp, Ori, and spirulina. Yeah, sounds like a good mix for sure. Fast Eddie, I sell those frag holders on my Etsy store. I believe they're like,
4 for 19.
it's is it 19?
Yes.
4 for $19. Yeah, plus shipping, of course. Yeah, I don't sell them individually. It just wouldn't be much benefit. And if one breaks on the way there or something like that, you know, USPS leaves a lot to be desired. But so yeah, they're 4 for 20. Do you make smaller versions of the stand? Ever think of designing a magnetic corner frag rack? I've seen them, but I'd rather give you my money. So I am planning to make a shorter version of the frag stand, not necessarily smaller, but just shorter by about half. So it'd be about 1 inch tall instead of 2 inches tall. I have not gotten into the magnetic side of things yet. The proper magnets for that are, one, very expensive, and two, hard to find. So it's not something that I've gotten into yet, but it's something that I do want to get into in the future, and I appreciate your support. It means a ton. Desert says, nice skate, by the way. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I built that myself. Connie's in the house. What's going on? Thank you so much for joining us, Connie. And again, thank you for all the YouTube channel members. When you see someone in the comments that has that little square sort of badge next to their name, those are YouTube channel members. And they help us out by supporting us every month with a YouTube channel membership. And there are perks. And if you're interested in that, you can find that info by clicking the join button that's next to the subscribe button. I also offer exactly the same thing, same tier, same money, same perks and everything on my website. And reefrookies.com. Memberships. That's where you go to find that information. And I actually make 30% more on those because there's no middleman. Anyway, enough of that. I have my Pop Bloom RL90 for 2 years and still looks great. Very cool. Weld liked the video. Rytech liked the video. See, yes, it's always weird. You know, a lot of people say they liked it. The comments were awesome, but it's just not doing well. Hi from Dubai. Thank you for the great info recently. I changed my water 50% every week for the past month as my nitrate was off the chart, and now nitrate is 25. My question, will my tank go through a cycle again? Probably not. No. The bacteria that we need for nitrogen cycling are not in the water. They are found within. Okay, let me put it this way. You know, I like analogies, right? So let me hold my coffee here. So if this is the surface of your rock, off of the surface of the rock, all the way around, there's a film algae that gets built up, and it's a sandwich. So there's a 25 micron sort of layer, and then a 50 micron layer, and then another 25, like an Oreo cookie, right? That 50 micron bit in the middle right there, that's where the nitrification bacteria, Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, that's where they live, is in that film algae in the middle of that sandwich. And so they're not in the water. So you can do 100% water change, and it doesn't take those bacteria away unless you also scrub the rocks and you get that film algae off of them up in the water. Then you do it, then you take out some of the beneficial stuff. That is why you won't see me often say, scrub all of your rocks clean. Only in the worst of cases do I ever say that. Because leaving that film algae on those rocks actually prevents the other things that we don't want, like dinos and cyanobacteria and stuff like that, from growing. It helps to stop that stuff. So no, you're fine. Your tank is not going to go through another cycle. You might see some parameter fluctuation, but that doesn't mean that it's going all the way back through another nitrogen cycle, which, if for clarity, the nitrogen cycle is an always running thing. It's not a thing that it just does and then it's done. It's always going. When ammonia goes in the water, Nitrosomonas convert it into nitrite, and Nitrobacter converts it into nitrate. And there's other bacteria that are in the low oxygen zones of the tank, the anoxic and I almost said anorexic. Anoxic and anaerobic zones in the tank that take the nitrate and convert it into nitrogen gas. So that's one of the things that we used to do with deep sand beds. You'd have that deep sand bed, or like Miracle Mud works the same way. You have a big anaerobic zone in the tank where there's very low oxygen. Those hydrogen sulfide based bacteria by the way, which is where the hydrogen sulfide in sand beds comes from. They consume the nitrate, turn it into nitrogen gas. You get bubbles in your sand bed and stuff like that. And then the nitrogen gas escapes out through gas exchange. 95 people, and now it's 88. So anyway, no, your tank's not going to cycle again. You're fine. People talking about how to get copper bands to eat. I got one from a random big box chain pet store eating frozen mice out of the bag, fat and hunts amphipods all day. Did I hit the jackpot? Yup. Yes, you did. Those fish are notoriously finicky. One of the things that you can get for them that can sometimes help them eat, which I'm loving that we now know that black worms are a great option. That's awesome. But one of the other things that you can get is this. And I know it's backwards, but you guys can get the sort of idea anyway. It's DKI Easy Reefs Mastic. It is a sticky sort of food. Hopefully I don't spill my coffee. It's sitting on my chair. So it's a sticky big chunk of food like that. And you can squish it down into the rocks or onto a frag plug, like a nori feeder or something, hang it on the glass. You could stick it directly to the glass. Matter of fact, we might stick one to the glass. Let's do it. I have not put one of these in my tank in quite some time. So let's go ahead and stick it to the glass and we'll see how the fishies like it. They're very hungry right now, so they're probably gonna take it. But I don't use it very often, so they might not really know kind of what's going on. But this is a very good thing, the mastic style of fish food. It's a really good thing for finicky fish because, like I said, you can smush it like down into a hole on the rock and it will give them something to pick at. So we're going to smash that right there onto the glass. Let me dry my hands and we'll see if they kind of go after it. Maybe they will. Foxface is very interested and already munching. Yeah, check them out. They're just going at it, you know. So for picky fish, that is a really good recommendation. It's definitely something you could try. Oh man, the sailfin tang found it. It's going to be over now. Once he finds something that he likes, he will absolutely decimate it. He's losing his crap. He got the zoomies.
He's super happy. He said, y'all got about 2 seconds and then it's
Yep.
done.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is why those fish need big tanks. They love to get the zoomies and swim around like that. Coffee. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Coffee. So anyway, yeah, we've learned a lot about picky fish today, black worms and white worms. It's something I'd really like to try. Okay, I just used a Lemmy Aptasia and it worked well. Great, good to hear. Connie says I had to get rid of my dotty back because it decided all of a sudden to terrorize the tank. They'll do that. Jamie says a skull for encrusting corals and urchin hats. Everybody keeps saying urchin hats. I have not attempted to design a shape like that. All my prints are circles and squares and triangles and stuff like that. So like a cowboy hat or something, I'd really have to work on that. But it seems everybody really wants me to do that. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna work on it. And I dig the whole skull thing too. One of the things that we've noticed in the reef keeping hobby is coralline algae tends to show up on plastic things first. And so that's an interesting thought as well. I'm going to leave it at that. Recently got a 6-line wrast and it chases everything around. Any fish can be that way. Yep, they're still going at it. They like that thing. Even the cleaner wrast just hit it. Interesting. The bang-eye cardinal could not care less. But yeah, any fish could actually be like that. Sometimes you just get one that's a jerk. Let's see. Gecko says eShops sells a tiny nano skimmer. Used to run it on my 10-gallon. Very cool. Ryan said, you said you had 6 years of college. Was your profession reef, water, or marine base, or was reefing just a hobby that took over? So reefing has always been a hobby for as long as I can remember. I've been doing it for almost 30 years at this point, and I'm 42. So 2 or 3? I don't know, 40 something. 83,
Yeah.
43. Yeah. I had to math. But so reefing came before school, but when I decided to go to school, initially it was for marine, marine bio. And then I couldn't decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I went through marine bio, regular biology, botany, biochem. I even went through 18 months or so of like medical lab tech, dealing with the bacteria and stuff, human pathogens and things like that. Yes, we grew stuff that would kill you if you weren't careful. It was a really interesting time. At the end of 6 years of study, I had not completed one full degree program because I kept changing my major. And so I was just absolutely done. And 97 people in the chat, we are going to hit 100 today because it usually peaks about 2 hours in. But so anyway, at the end of the 6 years, I was just absolutely done. My brain was fried. I was tired of school. I had to drive at least an hour to get to school every single day because I didn't live on campus. I lived where I lived, so I drove 5 days a week sometimes. And after 6 years, I was just finished. And I went to the counselor and I told them to look at my transcripts and tell me what I was closest to and what courses I needed to take to get that degree in the next semester. I was finished. And they did. They looked at it. They said, you can take these 2 courses. I don't even remember what the final 2 courses were. And I could get a general studies degree with a concentration in natural science. So that's what I did. It never really had anything to do with my profession. In fact, because of the type of degree I had, I cannot do anything in any of those professions. I cannot be a biologist. I cannot work in a lab, nothing like that, because all of those professions want you to have a master's degree in just that thing as entry level. Like you can't even go like be a janitor in a bio lab unless you have a master's degree in that. It's stupid. Anyway, Nature's Dimensions makes one too. I'm waiting for mine to come in for my Hello Reef 15-gallon. I did not know that Nature's Dimensions had a skimmer. I'll have to go take a look at that. You can spend some extra money to get pre-QT'd fish. Yes, you can. What are your different levels of subscriptions and what is the difference between each level? Armstrong, the easiest way to find that is to go to the website. Obviously it's here on YouTube as well under the join button. There's 6 different tiers. It's like $1, $5, $10, $25, $50, and $100 per month, I believe, are the tiers. And
Everything's on the website.
yeah, everything is on the website. All of it is listed out under the memberships tab on the website. Yeah, so it's sort of a pick your sweet spot. The $25 and up monthly tiers get some free swag from the merchandise store, t-shirts, hoodies, things like that. We send out 1 free item to you. And, there's other perks and stuff. It's all listed there. I can't even remember what all the options are. Logan, you better take that deal, man, 100% without question, about painting the house for a caiman. Yeah. Man, listen, I love the idea. I think it's an awesome animal. Like, I would love to have one, but we already have so much crap here to take care of that eats and poops. I mean, aside from the humans.
If it eats, poops, or squawks, we don't want it.
Yeah, if it eats, poops, or squawks, we don't need it anymore. What is the best way to remove hair algae in a reef tank? Number 1, you want to make sure that your nutrients are being controlled. You don't want anything too high, especially phosphates. Manual removal, literally get in there, rip it out, throw it away, is the next thing. Sometimes a stiff bristle brush really helps out, with that part, manual removal. Most of the time, in fact, I'm going to have a video coming out about this here pretty soon. A lot of people like to say, light is the problem. Too much light. BS. It's not your freaking lights. It's usually lack of herbivores is the problem. So you end up having the GHA, which here's another thing. GHA, green hair algae, is a term for a lot of different types of filamentous algae. It's like saying human. You know, how do you get rid of human on planet Earth? That's to say, it's kind of the same thing. Like, how do I get rid of GHA? Similar mindset. But the main problem in most people's tanks is generally it comes down to lack of herbivores and excess nutrients. Those are the main things. If you get those two things under control, then you can start to manage the algae, because that's what we're doing. We're always managing the amount of algae that's available in the tank through consumption with herbivorous animals, through nutrient limitations. You know, that's why we tend to recommend running sort of lower, down around 10 nitrate, 0.1 phosphate, something like that. Because when you get up to like 100 and like, 1.0, there's so much nutrient available in the water that it can grow faster than the herbivores can keep up with. Also, the longer it gets, the fewer things eat it. So doing the manual removal, ripping it out, getting it down really short on the rocks allows those herbivores to come behind you, the bristle-toothed tangs and the algae blennies and the hermit crabs and pithos crabs and snails of varying types, urchins especially, pincushion urchins. They can more readily eat that and help you keep it eradicated. So it's a multi-pronged process involving all of those things to get the tank into balance with the amount of algae growth and the amount of algae grazers that you have in the tank. Hopefully all that made sense. I have a painting and drywall company. Let me know when you're ready and we'll get it done. I hear you. About to make a GoFundMe. You guys are awesome. Oh, now there's qualifying information. I have to do it myself. Logan, check out McKenzie Taxidermy Supply for magnets that are incredibly small and extremely strong earth magnets. Interesting. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Weld really wants me to get a caiman. Joe, so yeah, we're talking about dwarf caiman. It is a crocodilian, I think, or is a caiman different from a crocodilian? Weld probably told you all about it, I'm sure.
Remember, crocodilian, not a lizard, not gator nor croc.
Not gator nor croc. Yeah, subspecies. They only get to about 4 feet long, like 40 or 50 pounds, I think. Weld, what do you feed yours? I was wondering about that the other day. Do you feed it like raw chicken or like raw fish or like what? Nick wants to know what hobbies you would say complement reef keeping the most. Photography, 3D printing, diving, woodworking, all of that. All of that complements reef keeping. In recent years, 3D printing has changed the game, because you need a frag rack, you just go print one, or somebody with a printer and you can get a file, you just have them make the thing for you. There's still a market for professionally made, very nice finished items and things like that, but I do pride myself in my 3D prints being very high quality. I have thrown 3D prints away because they were functional, but they weren't up to my standards of how things looked. But what else? What other hobbies complement? Yeah, woodworking for sure. I mean, building stands and canopies and things like that. That's always nice. Being interested in the sciences is a really good one. Digging into the biology and understanding the biology of how the tank works is very important. Even into the digging deeply into the chemistry and stuff like that. So, someone who has a desire to learn deeply about how it's working is very powerful in this hobby. Let's see. Jessica's in the house. Hello. Nice to see you here. Can it be that I have alkalinity at 6.7, but a pH of 8.4? I did an ICP test. All the trace elements show 0. What's going on? Aquarium with a fish and few corals. So yes, it's possible. It's usually not probable because the chemistry of saltwater is kind of limiting on what it can do. But yeah, your alkalinity can be that low. With the ICP and the trace elements, it's possible that it was a bad test, but more likely it just depends on what you have going on in the tank. Maybe those trace elements are being used up. It's a hard thing to really put the nail on, but yeah, it's definitely possible that it could be in that situation, especially depending on what salt you're using. So let's see. Salifert test, pH is in Milwaukee. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I would really have to have a longer conversation with you and kind of dig into everything that goes on with your tank to be able to see if I could, put my mind around what's happening. Another trick I learned for using mastic for copper bands is to smash frozen pellets and even flake food into the mastic. 2 copper bands go through this, and both of them eat these foods now. Great. That is a good idea. Jessica did a super sticker. Very cool. It didn't pop up. Interesting. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It definitely helps a lot. Did I see a 2-bar rabbit fish in there also? No, you didn't. What you likely saw is, I don't see him. Oh, yeah. He's right here. That is a 3-striped damsel. So that's probably what you were seeing. He's right there. So I could see how you would think that would be a 2-bar rabbit, but it's not. It's a 3-striped damsel. 3D print a chainsaw urchin hat so it carries around a chainsaw in the tank. That's pretty funny. Yeah. 3D print the little hand flipping people off where it can just carry that around.
You're at the halfway mark. Do you want to do the drawing?
Oh, yeah, we do need to do the drawing. We're at the halfway mark, huh? Yep. We have a Pop Bloom RL115 that we are going to be giving away. And unfortunately, entry into the giveaway is closed because we've already done all of the stuff to be able to do that. So we're going to do that giveaway here in just a few minutes on that Pop Bloom RL115. Unfortunately, USA only. Brandon says the tank is about 3 months old, noticing Coraline on the 3D printed return nozzles, maybe a couple frags too. Excellent. Great. Kimberly said I graduated from high school in 83. When did you graduate, babe?
89.
89? Okay.
I'm a little older than
you. Yeah, she's a bit older than me, guys. Printing PEEK on the X1 carbon. Man, I would love to have a bank of the X1 carbons. Having like 4 or 5 of those. Gah. But my printers are rocking and rolling. So what do you recommend for the best Acropora coloration, specifically tenuous and milli? How much par? So it's a tough call because I don't know what you're already doing, but I would say, generally speaking, trace elements are going to be very important. The most colorful tanks that you're going to see are tanks in which people in some way are replenishing and managing the trace elements, vanadium and molybdenum and strontium and cobalt and all of that. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Reef Moonshiners, Captivate, the Triton Mite program, the Master Your Trace Elements program. I don't think you're ever going to get the type of coloration from Alpha Reef that you're going to get from a bespoke trace element program, but Alpha Reef is not bad. It's a pretty good product too, and it has some traces in it, but not like what you're going to get with those other programs. But trace element is very important. PAR is also very important. And on my acros that I have growing up here, which I'm about to be in the market for some of the really like OG acros, like the Aura Pearlberry and no, I have a Walt Disney. What's the one I'm thinking of right now? The Ruby Red, some of those, acros from like 15 years ago. I want to get some of those old ones, but I have about 350 par going on at the top of the tank up here right now. Some people end up with acro tanks, par up in the 500-600 range. Just depends. It's hard to say what is exactly perfect for coloration, but generally speaking, the more par and the more you keep things stable and the more you keep on top of your trace elements, the more color you're going to end up having from your acros. Whew. Hang on. I think I'm going to have a cough drop. Give me a sec. I'll be right back. I've been doing a whole lot of talking. Thank you, baby. I have to remember not to slurp on this cough drop. All right. Are you ready to do the thing, babe? Yeah. Okay. So let's take a quick second. We're going to go ahead and get this drawing done. And do you have the names?
I do, but it's email addresses.
It's email addresses, yeah.
For anybody who was subscribed to the website. So we had 378.
There were 378 entrances. It's people who have subscribed to the website for this one. So the way that you do that is you go to the website, you go all the way to the bottom, you put your email in there. But again, this one is already locked. So let's flip the camera around, and here we go. 378 people, and it's going to be number something. Come on, do the thing. 228. Number 228. Unfortunately, I can't say who that is because I don't want to give out people's email addresses. But
They will receive an email from admin@reefrookies.com and let them know that they are the winner.
if you were number 228, which you wouldn't even know that right now, we will send you an email from admin@reefrookies.com letting you know that you are the winner of the Pop Bloom RL115. We will also post in the Facebook group and try to tag that person if we can figure out who you are from your email.
You should be able to by this email.
You should be able to. What's the first name?
Timothy Reul. Google.
Is that?
Hang on.
Hang on 1 minute. We're going to try to figure this out right quick. Stand by. She's doing some admin stuff over there. Let's see. I recently bought 5 fish. Wait a minute. I recently bought 5 fish, didn't QT, 4 died in 10 days. Foxface survived them. My older fish started to have difficulty breathing on tank. White spot. Dang. That's a tough one, man. I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough.
He is in the group. Tim Reul, Reul.
Okay, so the person who won is Tim Reul, Reul. You are the winner of the Pop Bloom RL115. Congratulations, Tim. I hope that you enjoy that thing and have a place to put it. If you don't, get another tank, and then you have a place to put it. Fishman liked the day in the life video. Thank you so much. Is it marine velvet? What do you think? That is impossible for me to say without being able to see what you have going on, Sam. It's just not something that I can guess at really from here. But if you have some pictures of the fish and when they were sick and what they look like and stuff, if you post those in the Facebook group, then we can probably at least get close to a decent ID. Jack of all trades says, hey, I got the lionfish to eat frozen food finally. Excellent. I threaded some clear fishing line through the frozen krill so I'd make it dance. Hey, you do what you got to do. Sounds like you came up with a pretty good solution. I taught a BRK tank photography training with you back in the day. Oh, gosh. At Daniel's house in Slidell. Good to see you're still at it and teaching the new. Yeah. Geez, man. That had to be, what? That had to be 20-something years ago. Very cool to see you're still hanging out around with us too, man. Nice to see you back and talk to you a little bit. What do you think on the Smack Farm G5 light? Pretty good light. Yeah, pretty good. I haven't played with them myself, so I can't really say as to the sort of controllability of the light. But I know a lot of people are... they're growing really nice reefs under those lights. So think it's really good. Inspecting my tank as you do the drawing, definitely got a vermited snail problem. My snails have vermited snails on them. Dang. Jessica just got a saddleback Valentini. Very cool. Walking cuttlefish are awesome. The only problem that I have is I tend to get attached to things and they only live for a year. And so when you put them in your tank, you're not going to have them that long, you know, and that sucks because cuttlefish are super cool. Probably 2012-ish. Yeah, had to be. Yeah.
Oh, because that was before you and I.
Oh, yeah, that was way before you and me. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a long time ago. Sam says, I need a pot bloom light for a 22-inch cube with a sump. Which one do you recommend, and can I order it from your link to ship to UAE? You might be able to. You can go to the website, go to the Amazon product recommendations list. So reefrookies.com, go to the product recommendations list and scroll down to pot bloom. I would recommend for that tank the RL90 if the tank is not more than 22 inches in depth. If it's deeper than that, go with the RL115. Now, as far as shipping to the UAE, I'm not certain. That just depends on Amazon and what they can do for you. There are other places to get the pot bloom lights. So if you can't get it through my link, I mean, don't let that hold you up. Go ahead and get it from wherever you can get it from. Tank tour. We are caught up. Yep, we can go take a look at all the cool things. I recently added some of the corals. I took them out of the big tank and put them over in the wine glass tank, and they're doing really good. So we'll take a look at that too. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask while we do this tank tour. Flip this around, and we'll start over here. So all of our beta are gone. They finally kicked the bucket. We still got the little dwarf corridors in there. Yo, Kimberly in with the $15 super chat. Thank you so much. That absolutely means a ton. And oh, by the way, these are going to be on the Etsy store really soon too, in various sizes for various different tanks. This is a little planted 5-gallon freshwater tank. I think we're probably going to have to get some new fish and put in here real soon. This is the wine glass tank. For Brandon in with the $10 super chat, RFA says, feed me, Seymour. I don't actually have anything to feed the RFA with right now aside from pellets, but we'll feed the tank here in just a few minutes as we do the tank tour. Thank you guys for the super chats. That means a lot, for real. But yeah, if you've never seen this, this is my wine glass tank. It holds about 2.5 gallons of water or so, and it is a mixed reef. There's a harlequin shrimp in there. He made an appearance on my most recent video. Pulsing zinnia, of course. Montipora digitata, right there, a red one. This is a purple stylopora, or stylopora, if you want to be, scientifically correct. Big old snail. And some St. Thomas mushrooms down here on the sand bed. There's even a big fireworm that lives right there. He's always right there under that rock. That's kind of his happy place. Sometimes he comes out on this side too, but most of the time not. And so this tank is literally just run with nothing but top offs once a week, and I feed the harlequin starfish. Do you have a link to the monster wine glass? Unfortunately, no. There are wine glasses like this out there at like the home decoration sites, but those are really cheap, thin glass.
That's crystal.
This is crystal, like crystal glass, which however they do that. It came from an actual wine making company. And my wife had a consignment store, and someone brought it in on consignment, and that's how we ended up with it. But yeah, it's just run with a little hang on the back filter, and it has its own algae scrubber right there in the output of the filter, and so it's really cool. Little top-down shot. Obviously, growth tips on the SPS. It's doing very good. Right now, the salinity in this is 1.020. I just checked it the other day. Oh, look, a spaghetti worm. Focus on the spaghetti worm. It won't do it. Anyway, this is where my chocolate chip starfish live, which are food for the harlequin. I'll need to get with you to see if the gravity ATO will fit my 33 long. Yeah, send me a message, Kimberly. I'll take a look at it. Jessica says, my blue-eyed coal tang I had ordered from Aquatic Specialties is eating nori. Very cool. That is awesome indeed. So let's get the lens filter here on. Boop. And take a look. So everything is doing really well. This dude is just as huge as ever. Always doing good. But yeah, you can see every tank has them. There's aptasias. You know, there's only so much you can do about it. But I'll have to get something in there. And see, this is one of the things that's so aggravating about reef keeping, right? Those two hammers, the yellow hammer is looking absolutely fine, and the one below it is pissed off. Don't know why. You know, the purple hammer looks good. It's got two polyps down low down there that aren't very happy, but then that one right next to it's kind of mad. That one's got aptasia next to it, so I get that. But there's no aptasia or pests or anything on this hammer, and it's just kind of closed up. It's been that way for a while. These are salted agaves. Where you at, Weld? So yeah, those are super nice. They're coloring back up because they were in the fuge, but it decided to move them over here. Nice looking hammers. That's a black light and a holy grail, dragon soul, or maybe that's the dragon soul and then New York Knicks. Yeah, I don't know. The one pissed hammer does. What are you doing? He was standing on his nose. But I don't know why the focus is doing that weird thing. This fungia plate is loving life. It's looking really good. I got a hairy mushroom back there that needs to color up. That came from Brian Green, group member. Big fat Galaxia. The sailfin's just all up in the way. And then this is the guy. This is one of the ones that I'm really excited about. This is supposed to, they called this a rock candy acro. So super, super excited for that to grow out. It's just now beginning to touch the rock work. So that thing's going to start blooming soon. Looking good. Fuzzy greens. Bird's nest. That is a dragon scale millipora. I don't actually remember, but it's like dark blue and green. Looking very good. Slow grower though. And this is my Wolverine, which even though the encrusting base has not hit the rocks yet, you can already see that it's beginning to branch. So it's going to fill up this whole section of the tank right here and look absolutely amazing. It's going to be mostly kind of yellow and green with pink polyps. Some people have said that it looks a lot like a pink lemonade, and I can see that with the polyp extension that it has. It may not be the Wolverine. It might be a pink lemonade, but that's what they sold it to me as. Big piece of spongiotis back there that's going to cover the overflow. This is just some sort of a green acro. Don't know. This is a blue tip. Love this guy. Crazy growth pattern. Long branches. My contraband digitata has almost fully healed from the high phosphate event of months ago. If I can get it to focus. There we go. So it's almost fully healed and got back to where it was and has some nice growth tips on it as well. So this thing it's going to be nuts as it grows out. And the part that is healing is maintaining the red coloration. So I'm very excited about that. Another little no-name green acro. I don't know. I have too much green. Just green and green and green and green and green. I want some other corals, other colors. Yes, that is coralline algae on the hermit crab shell. That's actually pretty common, and it's a good sign that the tank is doing its thing. That is also a line of nearite snail eggs on the hermit crab's shell. So yeah, a snail decided that was a good place to put some eggs. This is one of my favorite pieces, which I can never get a good quality sort of picture that shows the coloration. This is a Garf bonsai, and it's very purple with lime green polyps. This one and this one are pretty much the same thing. This one just has a different growth pattern, but that's super cool. That's a Walt Disney there. If we come around here, you can really kind of see what's going on. It's just almost about to be encrusting onto the rocks as well. So it's going to take off here soon. This is a rainbow Pasillipora. And big feather duster. That thing's about 7 or 8 inches across. These are always a favorite. These are the Jason Fox pinwheel candy canes. Love those things. Growing quite well, looking amazing. My Australian gold. There we go. Pink bird's nest. Green sponjotus. Hairy pavona cactus. Oh, hey, look. Look at that dude. Oh, he's hungry. We're going to have to feed him. I'll move the tripod in a minute. We'll feed him. See how he's got his claws out, just trying to grab it? Nothing. He's hungry. So we got, look at that. He's never been that sort of interactive. All right, we got to feed that guy. And then, yeah, more corals. We'll go back to the tank tour in a minute. Let me grab the tripod where I can set it up and try to get that guy fed. Hang on.
I'm going to watch you.
There we go. There. He is cruising, yeah. I guess he's just, I mean, he's super hungry. They're pretty aggressive eaters, and there's not a lot of algae in the tank. And I usually do really try to make sure that they get stuff, but the doggone sailfin always tries to rip it away from them. There's 2 of these red mithrax in the tank. So usually what I end up doing is I end up feeding the sailfin first, but yeah, see what he's doing? I'm gonna let them have that piece. There, y'all go have that piece. Get this down here for the crab. Now I'll fend the fish off with the pincers. He'll usually go and hide. He'll drag that thing back into a hole. There he goes. All right, I think maybe he got it. Let me find, where did that other piece go? I don't actually see it. The other piece of algae, is that it over there? Yeah. Oh gosh, there's some big aptasia on this pump over here. I'll have to get that off. There we go, I got it. All right, guys, here. Try to hold that there for them. Well, they're not really caring too much right now. There they go. Nope, they got it. Cool. All right, so he's still cruising right up there, looking for his little happy place. This is what I like so much about reef tanks, that you really don't get as much. Oh, there's the other one. I found the other one. Let me move this over. We'll get him fed too. He's right under there. Yeah, he did. Give me just a minute, and let me get some nori out for this guy too. I don't know if that was 2 pieces. No, it's just 1. All right, let's see if we can get this guy fed as well. There he comes. All right, he's got it. But yeah, that's what I like so much about reef tanks, is there's so much biological diversity in a reef tank. The bass was eyeing that crab up, yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So now that that's done, let me get the tripod, put it back where it goes, and we will go ahead and continue our little doohickey here. Bear with me while I move everything around. Close this. All right, that's all closed up. And I guess, well, I got too much going on. Here, let me flip this back around. I got too many things happening. I don't have enough hands. Okay. Let me take that clip away, and we'll give the fish some of these pellets. Some of those might make their way down to the rock flower as well. There we go. Get after it. Where's the chalk bass? There he is. He's such a pig, man. He's got a giant belly. That chalk bass is probably at least like, I mean, he's huge. He's big around for sure. One of my favorite fish. I love those things. So here, I'll just clip that right there. There we go. Okay. I need to top off my coffee. I'll be right back. Successful topping off of the coffee. All righty. Now we have just about an hour left in the stream, so that's a good little time frame that we got going on there. Let me get all this straightened back up, and we'll get back to answering some questions. So let me go back up because I don't want to miss anything. Let's see. I wish we could get corals like DNA tested. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Missed some more. Okay, here we go. Those are my favorite. Salted agaves. Yeah, they're super awesome. Super awesome pally. How many tanks you got? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running aquariums right now. One of them, I didn't do the tour of the fish room. It's back behind, and we'll go back there in a minute. I just sat down, so give me a second. But yeah, back in the fish room, I have a 40 breeder that is a macroalgae refugium and anemone tank connected to this big tank behind me as part of its filtration. Will clownfish host fungi-plate? I've never seen them do that specifically, but I'm not going to say it's impossible because clownfish are kind of dumb. They do stuff like that sometimes. There we go. With the Delua Beast Mode bundle on the main tank, do you have a Vitamini timer or do they sync up with the X4s? They have their own timer. I chose not to get the timer because I can run mine with Hydros. So that's what I'm doing. But right now, the Vitamini strips that are on the front and back of the X4s, they're not even on. I get too much par when I turn those on. So they're off at the moment. But they're there when the tank grows out and becomes Acropora heavy all across the top, and I need more penetration through, then I'll be able to turn them on and blanket the tank with even more light. I recently spotted a small aptasia on a frag plate. Should I kill it with Red Sea aptasia? Wait to dip the frag. No, the dip doesn't kill them. The easier thing to do would be to take the frag out and just cover the aptasia in super glue gel and then put it back in the tank. Weld says, what kind of urchin was that? It was all white. It is a white pincushion urchin. I actually have 2 of those. They're both about that same size. Yeah, they just cruise around the tank and munch on things that are on the rocks and stuff. Yeah, so really cool little urchin. Forest Fire Digi is my next coral purchase. That's a great option. Love that coral. Nice looking tank. Well, thank you very much, Raydell. Appreciate that. Reef Keeper's talking to Lee, says, you're correct. Dip does not kill it. If it's on a frag plate, rubber plate, scrape the end. Yep, you can do that too. Don't wait. Yes, no, don't. Do not wait. Go ahead and get that done like today. I have a 73-gallon display and need more algae eaters. I have a pin cushion and a tiger conch, 5 to 10 each of Trochus margarita. Struggle with hair algae. Okay. So yeah, Drew, probably the thing. Oh, wait, hang on. You said something else. Oh, I'll talk about that in a second. Probably, I would just add probably a dozen more of all of those snails and maybe even another urchin, different color, or do a tuxedo along with the pin cushion. Go to reefcleaners.org and tell them I sent you from Reef Rookies when you make your order. And just pick some more of their stuff. Ox tongue, nearite are really a good snail to have as well. They're very, very strong. If you could get a chiton and put that in there, that's super cool too. Yeah, just add more cleaners. 73 gallons. If you don't have a bristle tooth tang or a tomini or a coal tang, then you could consider one of those fish. They are voracious grazers. I said that kind of silly, but they're a really good fish. And I'd be okay with one of those smaller tangs in like a 75. It'd be all right. Drew says, I'm decided on signing up on your website, not on YouTube. Very good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Every little bit helps for sure. My neon green Lobo have been pissed off for a few days now since adding the Favites, Recordia, Duncan, and a bunch of other cleaner hermit crabs and snails. Interesting. So here's an interesting thing. What we typically call Favites in the hobby may not actually be Favites, because the area of the world where those would be harvested from, it's illegal to take corals. So unless they were aquacultured all through the years and fragged a bunch of times, it may not be Favites or Fabias. I have one as well, and that's definitely what it looks like, but it may not be. It might be another species. Lobo is just a finicky thing. It could be something picking at it, or sand is on it or something like that, pissing it off. Try the Firehouse salted caramel bourbon coffee. Yep, I want some of that. Sounds good. Jason said my clowns try hosting my sand starfish. Yeah. Weld, I usually don't see the white pincushion urchins out there anywhere. There was a local fish store here for a while that had these, and I got them from them, and I don't know who their supplier was. So unfortunately, I can't tell you where to go and look for them, but they're out there. They're available. Regular turbo snails. What are we talking about? I don't know about the regular turbo snails.
They said that. Talking about something else.
It's talking about something else, yeah.
I looked up right after I came back in.
Yeah.
We have, that's why I went outside, because there was something red, like way up in the tree.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure like a honeysuckle vine grew like way in the top of the trees out there, and it's
making big
like,
flowers?
Yeah, we have like honeysuckles.
Oh, cool.
In the top of the tree.
Apparently we have honeysuckles in the top of our trees. Weld was talking about GHA. Oh, yeah, the normal turbo snails. Yeah, they do a good job with that. Natural says, just a FYI, clownfish do not host the thing. The thing hosts the clownfish. You're absolutely right. It's a play on words, as it turns out. I used to be pretty high up on that soapbox, too. But it's like saying biweekly, which can mean every 2 weeks, or it can mean twice a week, depending on the context. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It typically, scientifically speaking, the clownfish doesn't do the hosting. Now, if there was an aptasia or something like that that was stuck to the side of a clownfish, then yes, the clownfish would be hosting the aptasia or the anemone. But that typically doesn't happen. Caffeine's getting to you. Yeah, it probably is after the third cup in 3 hours. Justin, what's going on, my friend? Happy to see you here. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. I guess we could go take a quick look at the fish room. I just started getting the Triton Core 7 dosing and all that stuff happening today. So let's go this way. Huh?
I said, don't step on the rice noodle.
Oh, yeah. Don't step on the rice noodle. Doesn't he look like a rice noodle? Definitely a rice noodle dog. So this is the fish room. Got my locker over there. All kinds of old equipment up on the top. This is the 40-gallon refugium, the macro algae, but also has some corals. Refugium. Got some anemones, and the clownfish is freaking out. He's losing his mind. And then a bunch of different types of macros, grape caulerpa, and this is codium. So that's what I was talking about earlier to feed the tangs with. There's the sailfin molly. Very cool. And that's the thing I was saying, looks like a fabia, but may not be. Usually about this time of the day, it has its tentacles out, like its feeder tentacles out like crazy. But one of our dogs is named Russ, like russet potatoes. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's awesome. So anyway, here's control center. Common sump down here. The main tank drains into this, and so does that drain into that. So that's pretty cool. This is all the dosing stuff that I have going on. There's 4 parts here, which is the Triton Core 7 for calcium, magnesium, and 2 alkalinity parts. And then these 2 are the Triton Trace Elements, which are on these BRS 1-to-1 dosers. And then CO2 scrubber, hydros, and 3 eek birds and stuff like that. Yeah, it's crazy. Bucket galore, of course. All of the crap that you accumulate over time of having a bunch of tanks. And my 3D printed, these are cool. You can get these on Etsy that holds your test kits. So very neat. Anyway, that's the fish room. Flippity flip back around. Da-da-da. Always like to show people that. Gives people some ideas and stuff for things that they can do. All right, we had a couple of questions pop up, so let's go get comfy and talk about those. Let's see. What is the fastest way to cycle a 10-gallon tank with 1 damsel inside? Add some live rock or live sand from the ocean. That's going to be the quickest way that you can get that done. If you set up a tank with nothing but live rock, it is basically instantly cycled right from Jump Street. So getting live rock or live sand from Tampa Bay Saltwater, Gulf Live Rocks, Marco Rock, or Florida Pets is pretty much the fastest way. If you don't have access to any of that, then I would recommend 2 products, Fritz Turbo Start 900 and Microbe Lift Night Out 2. Get both of those, dose both of those to the tank, and you can get that thing to cycle within a couple weeks. Mission control, yep, pretty much. Lenny, what's going on? Lenny and Larry. That was weird. That was sending my brain around the corner for a minute. New to the hobby, 3 months in. Thanks for all the helpful tips. Appreciate the content. Well, thank you so much, Lenny. I appreciate you, and thank you for being here today. We did not hit 100 people. I never saw it go to 100. It was right there, man. We still got 50 minutes left, but 96 has been the high so far. But that's good. I know people with 100,000 subscribers that don't get 96 people in their streams. So I'm really glad that you guys enjoy this. It went to 103 once, Ozark says. Hey, very cool. It'll tell me at the end of the stream when I close the stream, it'll tell me what the maximum concurrent viewership was. So if it got up to 103, that's super cool. Caleb, yes, we did already do the Pop Bloom giveaway. A fellow by the name of Tim, not Tim Terzel. It was Tim Rule. Yeah, Tim Rule from the group is who won the Pop Bloom. We are going to be giving away the Nycrew 135 with a light shade. We're also probably going to put a light shade in there with the Pop Bloom too. But we're going to be giving away the Nycrew 135 with a light shade once I'm done with it. That one's going to be a little different. You have to be a supporting member, not a subscriber. An actual supporting member for that one, because we paid cold hard green doll hairs for that light, and so we're gonna do that one. We're gonna do a giveaway with the members for that one, and there are gonna be a bunch more coming after that as we buy products to make 3D printed products for. We're gonna give those things away. So yeah, it's happening. Brendan, talk about cabinet of shame, really? Yeah. Trying to find a shade for a Smat Farm 60 watt. It's on my list. I have not been able to get there to do it yet. It's on the list. The Durf guy, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. What is that? What just happened? The A. Stadler sent 5 Reef Rookies Aquaria gift memberships. Well, thank you very much. That is absolutely awesome that you were willing to share that with the other members of the channel, of the group, of the people in the chat. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Very generous of you. And I appreciate it. Yeah, no doubt. That's cool. So what else is going on, you guys? Tell me a little bit about your tanks. How's things going? What you got new? What's happening? What's going on? So the freshwater tank needs some additions. It's looking kind of bare. The wine glass tank, I'm going to be taking coral frags out of the main tank to kind of stuff the wine glass tank with more stuff here real soon. The QT tank, I got to get some more chocolate chip starfish in there so I can keep them rocking and rolling. The sea cardinal's looking good. I got a little bit of an algae problem, so I probably need a few cleaners in there. And like I said earlier, I want some of the old school acros for the big tank behind me. Let's see. Got a couple questions popping through now. I had light phosphate in my tank. Wait a minute. Terry says, had light phosphate in my tank up to 1.0. Been using Roaphos in a reactor to help cure green algae problem. Phosphate down to 0.03. Okay, yeah, at 0.03, remove the Roaphos. You don't want to go any lower than that. 1.0 is definitely not light. I would call that high for sure. Oh, height. You meant high. I read that as light. That's my bad. Yeah. Discontinue the Roaphos. Continue tracking the phosphate a couple of times, 2 or 3 times a week. If you see it coming back up, you may have to add the Roaphos back in half the amount that you were using to draw that out a little bit slower over time. But yeah, that's what I would do. Good job on getting it down, though. Ozark says, is a Pop Bloom 60 on a 20-gallon cube for a softy only tank reasonable? Absolutely. It'll do well with that. You won't have any problems. In fact, you probably won't be able to run it at 100%. You probably max it out at about 75 or something like that. Yeah, it'd be a good choice. I have an extra Pop Bloom RL60 laying around here somewhere, and I'm really thinking about putting it on the sea cardinal tank. I think it would look great on that tank and help those corals a little more than the light that comes with it. Yeah. Do you think softies would look better if treated like SPS? Thinking about my 10-gallon like an SPS without all the chemistry headaches. What do you mean treated like SPS? I'm curious where your brain is with that. Larry is removing soft corals and replacing with SPS as we do. Yep, as we do. And let's see, Brandon is dosing copper for quarantine fish, cross-contaminated. Oh no, just display with copper from the waste siphon hose. Lost 4 Taroka snails, big water change, fresh tools, cuprosorb. Well, you're doing all the right stuff. Yeah, that little bit's probably not going to do a massive problem, but yeah, you're doing all the right things. The encrusting leather that was posted the other day that looked like invasive clove polyps turned out to be an encrusting gorgonian. Interesting. Very cool. High flow, high light. Yeah. I mean, sometimes we ID things from a photo, and yeah, I mean, we can get them wrong. Anybody can, really, but it's, yeah, encrusting gorgonians. Interesting. I would recommend dosing phytoplankton if that's what you got going on. Yeah, get you some phyto going in there. Kimberly says, I'll be getting a BP60 for my, a BP60. RL60? PB. Oh, Pop Bloom. Got you. RL60. Yeah, for the 16-gallon all-in-one. And I already got the shade. Very cool. Yep, very cool. Thank you for the support again. That's awesome. Caleb says, I have an Aquamax Cone S skimmer. As per my luck, everything for it has been discontinued. The pump has started to produce stray voltage, and I need to replace it. Any advice or experience with these? Not specifically, but if you take that pump off, there's probably a model number or a part number on that sump, on the pump. You may have to take the front cover off and look inside there or whatever. You could probably find another pump to go on it. I did not know that they discontinued those. That's an interesting thing. But yeah, I would suggest just trying your best to find another pump that's going to do the same thing. Unfortunately, I can't tell you which one to look at. I don't have that here, that information. Coco got a pair of Mandarin Dragonette from Biota. These are captive bred and eat daily pellets. My absolute favorite. They're eating DKI, the tiny DKIs. Very cool. Very cool. Love to hear that. Yeah, those Biota Mandarins are pretty neat. I would like to get a male-female pair and keep them in my refugium in the backpack there. Macroalgae refugium is like the perfect place to put Mandarin Dragonettes. Lee said some weird polyps, 2 or 3 that look strange. Then my coral started to show on my rocks.
Sorry, it's my fault.
Yes, she's yawning and making me yawn. Aquamax is now under the Hello Reef brand at BRS. They use a Seche pump. Well, there you go. I didn't know any of that. Yeah, other people keep up a lot more with what companies are doing in the hobby than me. So that's cool. Thank you for that information, Reef Keeper. Very nice to have that. Thank you for sharing. Lee, I'm not sure. What I would tell you is to join the Facebook group and post some pictures of the weird polyps that you're seeing. Let's see if we can ID those things, and then we'll have more information there about that. Yes, for anybody who's going to join the private Facebook group, be sure that you answer both questions and agree to the group rules, and you must join with a named profile. It cannot be a page or like a business or anything like that. It's got to be a personal profile. But cool. If I have a promo code from a coral seller, is that okay to post in the group? I would prefer that you didn't, because we are not really associated with sellers anymore. We're not doing the Reef Rookies Approved thing anymore. And what ends up happening is you post it and then 52 people ask, it just creates a problem. So I would appreciate it if you didn't. I get it. You're just wanting to help. I understand completely, but those posts always create an issue. My clown quit eating pellets. I think he's eating my copepods, but not putting a dent in the population. Yeah, clowns like pods too. They eat them for sure. Eddie's talking about, speaking of skimmers, I have a Bubble Magus Curve 7. Good skimmer. It seems that everything I add, Reefroids, do a water change, it goes crazy, and I need to tune it again. Any suggestions? That's just how they work. That's just what they do. When you change the chemical composition of the water by adding those things or doing a water change or anything like that, it changes how the skimmer functions, because the surface tension of the bubbles, the air bubbles that are in there, changes because of the biology in the water, the proteins and all the different stuff that's in there. Some seem to be more sensitive than others, but pretty much any skimmer is going to do the same thing. My ice cap, fortunately for me, my ice cap, whenever I feed the tank, it dies back instead of goes crazy. So it dies back, and then in a few hours it comes back and it's doing the thing again. But yeah, unfortunately, that's just a thing that we deal with. I meant Aqua Ready, not Hello Reef. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Cones skimmer. It used to be by Aquamax. Yeah, I only knew it as Aqua Ready. I didn't know that Aquamax made them, and then Aqua Ready or whatever happened with the name there. Fun fact, if you like that skimmer, and it is a pretty good skimmer, I make a bracket on my Etsy store where you can put that skimmer on a rimmed tank, because it's meant for rimless tanks. But yeah, so that's a thing you can get as well. I seen something big yesterday in my tank, looked like a shrimp, but it wasn't. Moved quick, and I didn't put it there. Interesting. You might want to figure out what that is.
Amphipod?
If it was, yeah, it could have been an amphipod if it was small enough. Turbo Civic, what's up, my friend? Happy to see you here. Thank you so much for joining the stream. At what level do you recognize it is time to regularly dose your aquarium with Cal Mag and Alk in a 30-gallon? So the size of the tank doesn't matter, except for water changes in a smaller tank are an easier way to keep up with it than dosing. But the way that you know you're ready for dosing is when your water changes, your weekly water changes, can no longer keep up with the demand. So if you're doing your water changes, but those 3 things are still reducing over time, then it's time to start dosing the tank. Or you can ramp up your water changes, but you can only ramp them up to the point where your nutrients can sustain it. You don't want to bring your nitrate and phosphate to 0. So if you're doing your 10% and you got to bump it up and you're doing a 15% and your elements are still declining and your nutrients start declining, you can't go up on your water change percent anymore. So it's time to begin dosing. I hope that explains it. Yeah, appreciate that, Caleb. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for understanding. It means a lot when you guys are able to understand those things. Other than the Triton dosing programs, are you dosing anything for your corals? I'm not. I have been using the Triton Master Your Trace Elements program to cover all my traces. And I am now starting today, as a matter of fact, using the Core 7 Flex program for my calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, and it has trace elements for macroalgae for my refugium. That's the only thing that I dose. I do not feed my corals. I don't use reefroids, AB+, none of that stuff. I could, but my nutrients are at an area where I'm happy with them. And so I don't spot feed my corals. Excuse me. I also don't have any corals right now that need to be spot fed. They all catch a little bit of the fish food. When I feed frozen, I don't rinse it. So everything that's in there, the goop from the frozen foods, goes into the tank. And I leave my wave makers on, it blows it all over the tank. And so I'm sure the corals are getting some that way. But I'm not doing anything specific, and those are the only dosing programs that I'm using. MC Reef says, how long would you keep a fish in an acclimation box, a powder blue in the box, koi tang in the tank? Powder blue has been quarantined. So once the quarantine's finished and it goes in the tank in the acclimation box, 2 weeks is the general guideline. You're going to see aggression is going. 98 people in the chat just now. Super cool. The aggression is going to wane off after about that week mark, hopefully, especially if you feed the tank near the acclimation box and they eat in the presence of each other, because the fish really can't see the acrylic of the acclimation box. So they can see the other fish pretty clearly. 2 weeks is a general guideline to give you you'll get pretty good results out of that. What do you know about long tentacle anemone care with requirements? Can they be kept with bubble tip anemones? So they can. The long tentacles tend to have a little bit stronger of a sting than a bubble tip, so you might have some sort of pissed offedness going on between the two. But generally speaking, long tentacles and bubble tips can be in the same tank. I never do that. I usually keep one specific anemone if I want them. In this tank, I'm keeping rock flower nems. I got 4 of them on this rock over here. So I'm not keeping any bubble tips or a long tentacle or anything in this tank behind me. I have rose bubble tips in the refugium that's behind back there. And they definitely help capture any excess, fish food and stuff that goes through the flow and whatnot. But yeah, you can keep them, but it's a risky thing. There's always that potential that something's going to go wrong. If you had a 180 predator reef, what would be your first fish list? A list of fish? Off the top of your head, I wanted to get some groupers, but this old needs a house before a tank that big. Yeah, groupers need a huge tank, like 1,000-gallon tank or bigger. So predators for a 180, I would definitely try to get some rooster wasp fish in there. Those are very cool. Probably I would have several of the dwarf fuzzy lionfish. I don't think a 180 is really big enough for like a normal full-size lionfish unless it has very minimal rock structure. So the fuzzy dwarf lionfish, and you can have a bunch of those, a bunch of different colors. The Fu Manchus, those are super cool. Other predators. Is that big red fish? Is that due to predator? It's like a big eye squirrel fish. They're kind of chill. They're kind of cryptic too, but I don't know if that's a predator fish or not. I've seen them in Petco all the time, but I've never had one. They got big eyes and a big mouth, so I assume they're a predator. I would definitely have a hawkfish. They're predators on small things. It would be super cool if you could get a hold of a couple of, or even just one, sea robin or flying gunnard. Those are super cool fish, but I think even a 180 is probably maybe a little small for that. Off the top of the head, those would definitely take priority. We're back. I think we're back. Are we back? Big question mark.
I think, no, now you're, wait, maybe, now you're frozen. Now you're back.
I'm back. Okay, good. I have no idea what happened. The stream just closed. It shot me back to my my own YouTube homepage. Cool. Anyway, yeah. So those are some of the fish that I would say for that. Let's see. Let me get back to where I was. Pissed offedness is a technical term. It is. Explained it very well. What do you feel is an efficient amount of corals in a 30-gallon? That completely depends on which corals you decide to. Oh, come on. Explained it very well. What do you feel is an efficient amount of corals in a 30-gallon? It sounds good here on our end. Yeah, I'm not sure, Willie. It sounds good here. Lenny said it's because I'm new here. I broke it. Thank you, Smoking Goods. Appreciate that. Yeah, so let's try to get caught back up here.
So Lenny said no sound, but somebody else said mic is working.
The stream is being stupid. I don't know what's going on.
Can't hear.
I mean, my microphone is still on. I've got all green lights and everything. We can hear it on our end. Maybe try cycling the sound on and off on your end.
Refresh some of the refresh. Well, they can't. Well, said to refresh your stream.
Yeah. I'm not sure, everybody. There's always technical difficulties. Every time we stream, there's something going on.
Yeah, everybody's telling them to refresh, so hopefully they do.
All right. Caleb says, thinking about trying Salem's nitrous product. Is there any workarounds or budget options for dosing pumps? I know I'm going to forget if I have to do it manually. I mean, there's some budget options on Amazon. You know, Jabo, J-Cod, those brands are not bad. Yeah, really. I mean, it just all comes down to spending money. If you're going to be dosing something like ammonia, I would definitely recommend using good dosing pumps. I wouldn't cheap out on the dosing pump. Yeah, we lost about 20 of the people.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, it did drop way down, so we've gotten some back. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it dropped
Cool.
down. So.
My only issue with the acclimation box is the powder blue does not seem to be eating in the box. I put them in the sump, but they ate there. But 2 days in the box, they ignore food. Yeah, that's a tough call. You may just try to go ahead and introduce them to the tank. It's hard to say, you know. I'm trying to. Yeah, Hagen's Reef. It is live. We're live right now, but we were having some technical difficulties just a few minutes ago. YouTube just shut the stream down for no reason. Spotted moray eel. Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. Be careful with those. You'll lose a finger. Yeah, no problem, Turbo. So it completely depends. Y'all don't realize how tiring this is on my end. It's like constant mental anguish for 3 hours. But yeah, Turbo, for the corals, it's going to depend on what corals you choose. There are slow growing corals, fast growing corals, corals that spread out, corals that go up. You know, it's all really just going to depend. You're probably going to, in a 30-gallon, I would imagine you could have 40 or 50 different species in there, especially SPS, depending on the rock work, you know. It's real difficult to say exactly, you know, what you'll be able to do with it because it depends on what you choose to put in there. You know, like if you put an Australian gold torch, like my guy down at the end right here, like that dude right there, if you were going to have one of those in a 30-gallon, that would be the only torch that I would put in there unless you had other Australian varieties. I wouldn't mix Indo and Australian torches in a 30-gallon space. They might get mad. The pissed offedness might be a thing, you know. I like that word. But oh yeah, grouper, definitely a pool or a pond. They get huge, man. Even the ones that you see in the fish store all the time, the sweet lips, they get to like 20 or 30 pounds. And when they get bigger, they're not nearly as pretty. They're actually fairly ugly when they get big. They're just kind of gray. But yeah, I'll be right back. Enjoy the tank. Coming back. Okie dokie. Cool. So yeah. What's your go-to method for cycling? I've always done Turbo Start 900 in the past. So recently I've had pretty good success mixing Turbo Start 900 with Microbe Lift Night Out 2. The bacteria in Microbe Lift are the nitrifying bacteria that we want in a reef tank, Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. So those two products together, I was able to cycle a tank in like 11 days from scratch. This one behind me, the big one, it worked very well. You ever heard of a toadfish? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We catch them down here every now and then where I fish, but not very often. Every now and then you'll see somebody gets one. It's just random. The salinity has to come up a little high, and then they come in from the Gulf. And you can hear people getting one or two every now and then out by the rigs and stuff. Connie just got the DLW30 for the 60-gallon cube. Where would be good placement for those in the tank, in your opinion? I'd probably put one on either end and try it like that for a while. And if that didn't work out, then I would evenly space them kind of on my tank, like in the back like that, sort of spaced apart, aimed at the front, and see how that goes. You exercising?
Yes.
Stretching? Yeah. But yeah, that's probably what I would do. My voice is checking out on me now today too. But so yeah, if anybody has any leads on those old, like the old school Acropolis, like the red ruby and the pearl berry and those other ones, let me know. You catch flying fish? We don't get those. We get, I mean, we have sheep's head here, which is a stupid name for a fish, but we get those, and those are good eating. Those are excellent eating. I actually, as much as I've been fishing last year, now I'm refinishing my boat, which, by the way, if you guys want to follow that, Reef Rookies Goes Fishing YouTube channel, that's where all that stuff's going. But I actually haven't caught any sheep's head down here, but I don't fish with live bait either, so that kind of throws a kink in that plan. But the sheep's head, you don't usually catch them on artificials. For the acros, yeah, you can PM me. That's cool. The problem is freaking shipping, man. It costs $50-$60 to ship coral these days. The shipping's just so darn expensive. And so can you put a list of what you're looking for in the chat, please? Shoot me a DM, and then I'll shoot you a list back, because I can't remember the names of all of them. I'd have to look some of them up again. But like the blue stag, if anybody has any blue stag, that would be very cool to get some of that. And those other ones that I mentioned, what's the other one? It's a TSA. A blue millie would be nice too. Blue millipora, if I could find that. I need something other than green. I have a lot of green stuff in the tank. I need some red, oranges, yellows, blues, and hot pinks. Any experience with Cespitularia? Which one is that? What's the street name? Because I don't recall which one that is. What's the regular people name? Layman terms. My coffee is cold, but I don't want to get any more. Oregon Tort, yes, that one. That would be a good one. Yep, definitely want to get one of those too. That's along the lines of those old school acros. Thank you, Weld. Appreciate that. Puppy dog is headed to the front door. He's looking to go OUT after the stream. We always do that. My throat hurts, man. I think the little oops a little while ago kind of took the steam out of my sails. Marco Aquascaping Cement. Yes, I do. I have a video on how I used it to create the rock structure that you see behind me here. The Marco 400. It's very good stuff. It works very, very well. What? Did I miss something? Oh. We got some stuff moving in here now. Dem Dollar says I'm needing other colors than green too. Yeah, definitely. I need to get away from green. Cayman didn't say hi today. She's eating at the moment. Did I miss it? I asked you earlier, what do you feed that thing? Did I miss it? Oh, dang. Forest Fire Digi. That's a good one. I've had Forest Fire Digis a couple of times, and I mean, they do okay. I've got a contraband digitata, so that's super cool, but I don't have a Forest Fire right now. It's a soft coral, I think TSA, WWC, Rainbow Sprinkle, or something like that. Baby, can you look up that Cespitularia name? Caleb Alexander, his comment.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, look that up, please. Hagen's, love the Triton Mite video. I've been looking for a good trace element program that's easy and doesn't involve me playing mad scientist. Yes, that is exactly why I like that program. Like, I don't have to do anything. I take the 3 vials, I send it to Triton. They tell me how much to add of the stuff, and I put it in the tank. That's it. It's super easy. Be right back. I'm going to go look at this coral. Fargus. Oh, it's a softie. Shimmering indigo stalks. Okay. So I wouldn't think that coral would be very difficult to keep. I don't think that I've ever had one, though, this Spicularia. If any private person wants to save on shipping, use Finish Ship or UPS overnight, and you'll save a ton of money versus going directly to UPS. It'll still cost you $50, $60, though. Yeah. Bacon the Great. That is an awesome name. Yeah. What is your favorite beginner anemone? Because I'm going to get one when my tank is running and established enough. Rock flower nems are my favorite beginner ones. You could try to get like a rose bubble tip, but if you get one and it does well in short order, you're going to have 52. And that's not something that a lot of people want. Whole, raw, Cornish hens, live rabbits, fish, any meat with a bone in it. I take her fishing with me on her harness. She will eat the bass and whatever else. I'll hunt for squirrel for her sometimes too. Guinea pigs. So literally anything meaty. Got you. Well, we have a lot of squirrels here.
Absolutely not. I love my squirrels.
Sandy put the no on it.
My little tree rats are my friends.
Yeah, tree rats. Yeah. Caleb says, I think I missed your answer earlier, but the budget ways to dose or budget dosing pumps, I'm not consistent enough. I said that if you're going to be ammonia dosing the tank, I don't think that I would go with a budget option. I would spend the money on a decent doser. But that being said, there's a lot of them out there. Jabo, JEBAO, and JCOD, JECOD. I mean, they make a decent pump. That's what I'm running on my tank right now to dose the Triton stuff. It works. You just have to take gravity completely out of the equation or they'll leak. Not leak out, but they'll gravity either reverse or into the tank. How hard is it to keep a blueberry gorgonian? I've heard both. I've heard they're either very difficult or they're not hard at all. Seems like the people who say they're not hard at all feed them phytoplankton. So gorgonians in and of themselves typically need broadcast feeding of phyto to keep them happy because they're filter feeders. I want to add a display refugium to my DT. I'm looking at a 29-gallon attached to a 210. Is this too big? No, I've got a 40 on my 180. Also, what light would you recommend? I'm planning on having macros and some softies. Just about any light is going to be okay for you with macroalgae and softies. I have Delua Pixels on mine, the planted tank one. I think they call it Aquascaper or something like that. I really like the coloration. It's sort of a very mild white to yellow sort of look, and my macros are growing great. But no, 29 gallon is not too big. Like I said, I've got a 40 on mine. She gives me free teeth every month. You want some? I'll send them. No, I'm good. I don't need caiman teeth. But that's interesting. I didn't know they grew them that fast. Caleb has a dog. I used to catch rats in Washington, D.C. Interesting stuff.
Oh, Jason asked, ever keep something smooth skin Wakami?
I don't see that comment. KZ Tropicals is in the house. I don't see that comment on my list.
It's right above the free keep.
Ever keep a smooth skin Locani? Yeah, that's weird. It didn't come across on my chat. Freaking YouTube's being stupid. No, I've never kept one. Interesting, Coral. But that's not something I've ever had. We're pretty limited down here. We have a lot of fish stores, but they mostly just carry torches and hammers. There's not a lot of SPS. There's a few places that keep some, but yeah. Let's see. Hagen's Reef says, what's your go-to method for alk, cal, and mag starting a new 100-gallon mixed reef? I just started the Triton Core 7 Flex program today. I just got the doser hooked up today. I think it's a good program. There's a lot of different ways that you could go. On a 100-gallon, I think, a calcium reactor might be something that you would consider in the future once you have a lot of growth coming through. But I mean, these days with the 2, 3, 4-part programs we got, any one of them is going to be okay. Red Sea has one. ESV still has the 2-part, the bionic 2-part. That's still a great option. Alpha Reef is another good option. Powder and you mix it up yourself. It just depends on which way you want to go. The Triton program I'm using is a 4-part, or you could mix it as a 3-part, or you could even mix it as a 2-part, but they really kind of don't want you to do it that way. It works better as the 4-part. What do we got going there? Mark Larson in with the super chat. Thank you very much. What is the best way to introduce 2-part dosing? I have a Red Sea Reef dose coming. Need advice for consumption and how much and how often to dose. So that depends on which program you decide to go with. They're going to be dosed at different rates depending on the manufacturer. So for example, somebody else was just asking, let me see if I can answer this. Yeah, MC Reef, same time. For the Core 7 system, does Triton tell you how much and when to make adjustments with your mite too? Yes. So for the Core 7, if you go to Triton's website, triton.de, in the search bar, you type calculator, you can find a consumption calculator, and you put in the liters of your aquarium and how much alkalinity it's consuming daily, and it will tell you how much of the Core 7 program to dose every day to offset that consumption. Now, if you want to raise things, you got to offset it by more. That's just the consumption offset. And so to answer Mark's question, it depends on the manufacturer. Whichever manufacturer dosing program you decide to go with, they probably have a calculator available for you to go and put your numbers in that calculator and come up with an amount that you'll be dosing of that product every day. With the Triton system, the Core 7 Flex program has trace elements in the magnesium component. Well, you have to mix it in there. You can choose not to if you don't want to. If you don't have macroalgae, I would say don't. If you do have macroalgae, yes, do. And so what that's going to do is with the Core 7, all my stuff's going to have to be adjusted over the next couple of months to find the new baseline. So now that I'm dosing calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity, the expectation is that consumption is going to go up because there's more available. And so the corals will start sucking up more, the growth will go faster, and they'll use up more trace elements. And Triton adjusts all of that on the back end for you. You send them your water samples. They do the ICP testing. They track the consumption of the tank in their own system. They send you the new mite bottle with what the tank needs. Wait a minute. Say the light one more time, please. Maybe you have a supported link. So it is Dalua, D-A-L-U-A pixels. I have 2 of them on my 40-gallon. You probably want 2 of them as well. for your 29 gallon. I'm not typically what you would consider a typical affiliate with them. I don't make any money from sales or anything like that, but they do supply me with things from time to time to use in my tanks. I'm about to do a big upgrade here real soon with wave makers, return pumps, and a skimmer from them, as well as these lights that I'm running up here. I have Pixel on my wine glass and Pixels on my Refugium. But I don't have a supporter link or anything like that. Just tell them I sent you. Blue really does not show up in a reef tank, but I'm needing some blue or yellow corals. Yeah, blue's a difficult one. You have to run, you got to get a full spectrum light set. You got to run your lights full spectrum for a while to enjoy the blue. Yeah, for sure. What do you recommend for a battery backup for my aquarium? Travel for work a lot and don't want the wife to hook up a generator. Man, somebody Telegram on Instagram. So go to Instagram, look up the dude Telegram, Telegraham. He's a reef keeping guy. He was testing out, he's running his whole tank right now completely, all of the electronics on the tank, everything. The whole tank is being powered right now with a couple of batteries and some solar panels. His tank's not hooked to the grid. So whatever he's doing, I would say do that. Eco flows and stuff like that are great, like the battery power banks and stuff. They're awesome, but they're only going to last a few days. If you're not even a few days, I meant to say they're only going to last a few hours, not even a full day. If you're running your lights and heaters and stuff, those things zap the power super fast. So I really don't have a name brand recommendation for you, but look up that stuff that Telegram is doing, because you might be able to use the batteries that he's using in conjunction with your grid power and have it work. Would you ever start a fish store? Interesting question. It's always been a dream of mine to have a small boutique display studio style fish store with freshwater aquascapes and reef tanks. I got dangerously close to buying a fish store about a year ago, year and a half.
It wasn't long. It probably about year and a half.
Year and a half, 2 years ago, one of my local fish stores came up for sale. And I had all the paperwork in hand. I was talking to the owners, and ultimately I was fresh out of a back surgery. And ultimately we decided, because of that, that it wasn't the right time. It wasn't a good option for us. And there was some other extenuating circumstances and stuff. So we ended up not doing it. The person who did purchase the store has just announced that she is probably going to be closing the store and or moving it to a new location and opening back up, including freshwater along with the saltwater. Owning a fish store is a difficult prospect this day and age with everything that is available online. Premium locations that offer premium services and include tank maintenance in their store plans are the only ones that I'm seeing making it right now. Everybody else is shutting their doors, which sucks. But I mean, it is what it is. You have to pay attention to the market. Kelly says, I use 2-3-part soda ash and calcium chloride. Very good. Weld is using a Jackery with an uninterrupted power supply. Yeah, Jackery is pretty good stuff. Mark using Nios Ion B. I'm not intimately familiar with that one, Mark. I apologize that I don't have that information for you. But their instructions should tell you the amount to start with based on your consumption. Yeah. Chemower X1 Pro T stepper pump is really accurate. Continuous duty, $100. Good option. Yeah. Yeah, everything is, yes, for sure. Let's see. You guys were having a bunch of conversation. New here, what's up? Daniel McAfee. Well, welcome to the stream. We're almost finished, unfortunately. We've been going for 3 hours. We do this every Sunday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock Central Standard Time, except I don't know if I'm going to be able to be here next Sunday. I just thought of that. Your birthday is yeah, it's like next week.
Yeah, but I don't think it's Sunday.
It's not Sunday. It's like Tuesday or something. Anyway, I don't know. I'll let you guys know if we're going to do it or not. But anyway, otherwise, we meet here every Sunday from 1 to 4 Central Standard Time. If you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel. Go check out the website, reefrookies.com. There's all kinds of stuff there for you to look at. Join the Facebook group or the Discord. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram. And I do one-on-one consultations and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah. You're running the refugium spectrum. No, I think double check with Delua on the spectrums, because the refugium spectrum, I think, is very pink. Kelly, send me a DM and I'll look at my stuff and make sure that you get the right coloration. Because I don't think it's the refugium spectrum. I think it's the aquascaper spectrum. They sent me the ones basically for a freshwater planted tank because it was going on a display refugium. The refugium ones are like more pink red. And that's not going to be good for the display thing. But Kelly, yes, shoot me a DM. Let me make sure that I tell you the right thing, okay? KZ says, what is the best way to add calcium? I mean, really, it depends. Your two options are either going to be dosing something or with a calcium reactor. Either one is perfectly fine. You know, I mean, any of the calciums that you're going to be adding through dosing, they're all basically going to work the same way. You're going to dissolve it with RODI water, and then you're going to program your doser to add it to the tank, you know, periodically. Calcium reactors do that for you, but they also require a bottle of CO2 to be refilled all the time. And sometimes you have to have different things on there because the pH can get kind of wonky. It comes out of the calcium reactor. The water that comes out of the calcium reactor, the pH is very low. So you have to offset that, and there's other stuff. So dosing is usually easier for most people. Sean says the aquascaper spectrum. I think that's it. How my desired fish list sound, brand new to reefing, have 40-gallon tank, clown pear, purple firefish, flame hawkfish, and later maybe a mandarin. That's fine. Welcome to the hobby and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much. I just said all that stuff about the website just a minute ago. That applies to you too, Hannah. Interesting thing, our private Facebook group has what I think is probably one of the highest percentages of active lady reefers because we don't allow no BS in our group. Somebody pops sideways off at another person, they're banned immediately or as soon as we get to it. So we have a lot of women in our group that like the space and talk a lot. Some very smart people in there too, of everybody. But anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah, your fish list sounds fine. I would wait on the Mandarin Dragonet until the tank's probably maybe 9 months to a year old. Or you could go with Biota, B-I-O-T-A, tank-raised mandarins. They eat pellets. And so that's an option too. But usually Mandarin Dragonets eat live copepods, and you need a well-established tank for that. My Evo is up and running. What are your thought process on moving live rock out of the 10-gallon into it without actually doing anything to the Evo? It's not a problem. You can do that. You can move everything right over. It'll be all right. Well, if it's 10-gallon and the Evo is much bigger, if you move everything over, you might see some of the nitrogen cycle take place. Just keep tabs on ammonia and run some activated carbon for a while. How are clown gobies and soft corals together? I've never kept them together, but clown gobies are perching fish. So they typically like hard surfaces to perch on. So if the whole tank is covered in softies, they might not be super happy. We got 30 seconds left, everybody. My brain's running on dry here. Just want to let you know, I look forward to these streams. Very informative, relaxing. Sometimes this is the highlight of my week. I'll sit here with a twisted tea just absorbing info. That's freaking cool, man. Well, thank you so much. Run a lid. Let's see. Also, can I move livestock over now if I test? Yes, you can. Tim says, thanks. Another great informative stream. Thank the wife for me. She is reading all your comments, everyone. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and call this one done and dusted. We just passed the 3-hour mark at 18 seconds. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we had a good time. It's always fun. Like I said, not 100% sure if we're going to be here next week because it's birthday week. Maybe, maybe not. I might cook a steak. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, anyway, thanks again. Make sure that you're subscribed and go hit all the buttons on all the videos and do the things and watch the stuff. And we'll catch you next week. Bye for now. You didn't do it.